Hello and welcome to Too Fast, Too Forever. There's all kinds of family. We chose this one. This is episode 135, Fast and Furious Spy Racers, Rio. I'm Joey Lewandowski.
I'm Joe too, and this episode's brought to you by the CIA, Spy Kids website. The CIA is a U.S. government agency that provides information, what they call intelligence, on foreign countries to the President, the National Security Council, and other U.S. government officials to help them make good decisions about national security issues. Shout out to the CIA.
Well, shout out to the CIA and welcome to our second of 3 in a row Spy Racers episodes. We are going deep into the series. This is the first of 2 back-to-back about Season 2, about Rio.
Yeah.
You and me today, Joe, and then next episode, next Tuesday, Nico and Kevo coming in to talk about Spy Racers Rio. We just, on this past Tuesday, talked about Season 1, so we have lots of Spy Racers content coming at you in a row.
Lots of Spy Racers content.
So much.
It was a Spy Racers extravaganza for a while in my house.
But first up, Joe, extracurricular activities. What have you been up to since we last talked about Spy Racers?
We came back from Delaware, hanging out with Rachel's parents for the weekend. It was awesome. I love it. It's always fun to visit them, and we just hung out and drank, and we played Codenames again. I think we mentioned that last time we were down there. We were playing Codenames, and that's a fun game. But I have a fun story to tell you.
Okay.
So Rachel is in the car with me today. We went and got our flu shots today. Shout out to Kara for being a huge proponent of flu shots as well. So we went and got our flu shots today, and she's like, hey, I had this dream last night. Too Fast, Too Forever sponsored a Joe Biden town hall meeting. I was like, that's pretty on brand. And she goes, yeah, at it, there was all of these really expensive cars, as part of the town hall meeting. And you got really drunk and wrecked 4 very expensive cars.
Also on brand.
Because you weren't also on brand. Because she's like, he shouldn't have been anywhere near a car driving. And her reaction was, he can deal with that himself, and just walked away.
I think that's the right
and
move.
I was like,
yeah, also on brand.
That's 1,000% exactly what would have happened. So Rachel, we've now infiltrated Rachel's dreams.
I was thinking, actually, crossover. I was thinking when you were talking about wrecking cars, I was thinking about Leo in Wolf of Wall Street on the Ludes, and then talking about going into dreams, thinking about Leo in Inception. So this is just like a Leonardo DiCaprio podcast now, I guess. Or Rachel's dream is just different Leonardo DiCaprio movies within the context of Too Fast, Too Forever.
Possibly. I'm a huge Leo fan. Are you a big Leo fan?
I love Leo. I mean, so I will say, this is, I guess, the first time we will
We've
announce
never really talked about him.
This is the first time I'm announcing it publicly. I don't think it's going to happen. If Mike and I do another actor podcast, I think I told you about this, I want to do Twice Upon a Time in Hollywood, which is Leo and Brad, and do all of their movies in chronological order.
Ooh.
Have I sent you this art or no?
No, you haven't. Can I see it?
Yeah. Let me find it.
Oh, man. Dude, those are 2 of my favorite actors. Wow. I feel like this sounds vaguely familiar because you always we always chat about stuff like this, but at the same time it doesn't. So
there's the art.
Oh, that's so cool.
So
yes.
I want to do this, but it's the kind of thing where it's this is so much time each week that I don't know even if we did once a week or once every 2 weeks or whatever, I would love to do it because we would do it chronologically. I want to say that Leo was in a couple things first, 1 or 2 things, and then he stopped acting for a while. We would obviously intersect in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and they did some other quick thing. I don't think it was an acting thing. I think it was just a thing they were in together. I love him in certain things, just overall I don't know that I care about. We're doing a Leo movie this lap. We're doing Shutter Island later this lap, so we're going to talk about him.
Ooh.
Yeah, I like him in things. I don't necessarily love him all the time. It's not I'll probably see every movie he's in, but it's not he's in a movie, I'm oh, I gotta go see it. That's more of a thing that I feel about Brad Pitt.
I think I might agree with you, and I love both of them, and they do kind of fit hand in hand in a weird mix, and that's just awesome. I love this whole idea and everything about it. I love Leo. There's not many Leo movies that I don't like, and there's not many Brad Pitt movies that I don't like, and I like both of them as actors. But I think you're right. Maybe, if a new Brad Pitt movie comes out, I might lean a little bit more towards seeing that, even though, now all the Leo ones are kind of like Scorsese or Tarantino ones, so the movies might be better, quote unquote.
Today, speaking of Leo, the episode of Hanks for the Memories that's out, we announced the nominees for the Woodies, the Tom Hanks Awards, and Leo is nominated for Catch Me If You Can. So, if people want to vote,
such a great movie.
You go to cageclub.me/bracket, and you can vote there. I love that movie, but Hanks is good in that movie, but Leo just steals
it's
that
all
movie.
Leo.
Yeah.
For sure. That's one of my favorite movies. That's a great movie.
Other than Rachel's Dream, what have you been up to?
I think that's about sums it up. Nothing crazy.
The only thing that you've done since Sunday is drive back and listen to Rachel tell a dream. Like, I know that's not the case, but, it's just funny that, like,
We watched some football.
we're not talking about sports anymore.
I wasn't bringing it up,
Thank
man.
you.
That's
Thank
why I
you.
was saving you from it.
Boy, boy, oh boy. Don't even want to talk about it. So I have
It's okay.
I have big news that I told you about already. I
Cool.
beat Spelunky 2. So, okay.
Congrats.
Dan and whoever else doesn't want spoilers for Spelunky 2, skip ahead a little bit. When you beat the final boss, there's one of two paths you can take. Either number one, you can just walk out a door and end the game and get one ending, or you can shoot him with the specific item that you have to basically carry to the end, and then you go to this place called the Cosmic Ocean. And there are 99 levels, and you get as far as you can, and just like this thing. So last night, as we're recording this guy is the first one in the world. This game has been out for 4 weeks now. This guy was the first person in the world to beat the 99 levels, and so he just became one with the cosmos.
Okay.
So I went that route. I watched people play this online. Like, I saw the guy who beat level 99 get to 75. Like, I watched a lot of that run, so like I kind of knew what to expect, and it is wildly disorienting because it's a brand new thing. This is going to get a little in the weeds for the game, but part of the way to get to the final boss, the real final boss, is that you have to die, but you have an item called the Ankh that brings you back to life. So you go to a place that you have to die, you can't get out of any other way, but it unlocks a secret exit. But you get revived by getting the item earlier in the game, whatever. But there's a lot of people that do things like that the community is dubbed Ankh skipping, because it's where you don't have to use the Ankh, you can get past that in one way or another.
Okay.
People are trying to figure these out, and sometimes they're leaving them in the game, sometimes they're patching them out because it's not actually what's supposed to be done.
The creators are patching them
Yes,
out.
correct. Yeah, because there's like certain things like I even noticed one time that one thing that was patched I found even without like watching things, like I couldn't take advantage of it because I wasn't good enough at the game yet, but I found a way that like was kind of an exploit. You were supposed to die, but if you like hid in a certain place, you wouldn't die and you could escape with a certain item, whatever. Every day there's something called the daily challenge. And the daily challenge means that anybody can play. Like, so I was telling you, this game is randomly generated every day, or every time you run, it's just like a brand new procedurally generated. But every day there's something called the daily challenge. And what the daily challenge is the same thing. So like you play, I play, Rachel plays, Wes plays, whoever plays, it's always the same exact run no matter what. So like it's basically who can get furthest, who can get the most money, whatever. It's fun between friends, the community, and so on and so forth.
Okay.
I saw on Twitch there was a way that you could do an Ankh skip in the daily challenge. So I did that, and I Ankh skipped, and I got to the final boss, and that's how I won. There's a tiny little asterisk. I knew a way that I could skip and basically have an extra life, but I still had to actually beat the game and do everything and not die, and I can't restart the daily challenge. So, like, if I died early on, I would have been done. So, like, it really is a legitimate win. I still want to beat it again because there's another way, like, I want to get the other ending and stuff like that. But finally, cool. After 27 days, I think, with the game, I finally beat Spelunky 2, so I'm very excited about that.
Yeah, you sent me a message, like, real late one night, like, it's 3 a.m. and I finally beat it.
No. I got to the final boss at 3 a.m. Yeah, that was...
That's right.
Yeah, that was a long night. Because that was this past weekend, and on Friday night I was playing, I'm like, I feel like I'm going to beat the game this weekend. Like, I'm good enough at the game now that I think I can beat the game. And I didn't, but then it wound up being Monday night, so I missed it by a day. But yeah, I played till 3 a.m. on Saturday night because I was like in the zone kind of, but it didn't. It didn't work. But
I'm excited. I'm glad you beat it. I'm glad you're still having fun with it, and I'm like, there's still replayability for you.
Oh, there's so much, and there's still so much more that I have to do. So like, you know, to say this is the best $20 I've ever spent on a video game is still underselling. It's insane. It's insane.
That's awesome. Cool.
I started watching, now that I beat Spelunky, I can sort of dial back and not play Spelunky 24/7. So I started watching some horror movies. I watched 3 new horror/thriller movies, but nothing really great to report back on. I don't know if you've seen around, because they are all, 2 of the 3 at least, I think, made kind of bigger-ish waves.
What?
I watched that movie Spree. Have you seen Spree, or have you seen like posters for Spree?
I don't know what, I mean, maybe. What is it?
So it stars the guy who's the older brother in Stranger Things, Steve.
Well, he's not, I don't think he's anybody's brother.
Nancy's boyfriend. Yeah, he's the older brother figure. He
was working at the ice cream parlor.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, the best part. Yes, with Uma's daughter. He plays an Uber driver who really wants to go viral he's been creating content for 10 years. The first 10 minutes are great. and the last like 2 minutes are great, and then the entire middle is just like, I don't know what, like, are you just saying that like, look at all these sad people who want to be content creators? Like, isn't it pathetic? It's like, it feels like it's like a weird kind of message. I don't know.
Wasn't there another movie that we watched that it was like all about creating, or wasn't it an episode of Atlanta where the dude's like, oh yeah, man, I do all this dope shit, and then like he like followed him around and he doesn't do anything.
Probably. I mean, that makes sense for
Sounds
what
familiar.
Atlanta. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Then I watched a movie called The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which this guy Jim Cummings, he came out with a movie a couple years ago called Thunder Road. Did you hear of Thunder Road?
No, it sounds like a song to me more than anything else.
It is a
Go
Bruce
ahead.
Springsteen song.
Okay.
It's a movie where a guy is grieving the loss of his mother. It was a short film, and like it starts with him like dancing and singing along to Thunder Road at her funeral, like she wanted supposedly,
Ah,
and just about him coming to
okay.
terms with like this guy in both movies just shows every emotion. Like he just is like, I don't want to say overacting because like it makes sense for the story, but it's like he is showing, he's like literally,
He goes through the whole range.
yes. Like he
Okay.
is super angry, like, and in this new one, like he's an alcoholic and he's coming to terms with like it's funny, it's a horror movie, it's comedy, it's whatever. It's like it's a lot of everything, right? The reason I bring it up is because I watched this movie, The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which was made by the guy who made Thunder Road, which I loved, which the Mikester also loved. This was good. I did not love it the way that I love Thunder Road, but I really enjoyed it, which was good, which was important. Like, it's about what people think might be a werewolf terrorizing this Utah town.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah. I just saw this and I was thinking about watching it.
It's good.
So,
I would say like it's not the greatest movie that I've ever seen, but it's a lot of fun. It's my favorite of the three. And then the third
cool.
one was this movie called The Devil All the Time, which was a Netflix movie. Did you hear about this one or no? This I think
No.
was the biggest of the three. So this is Tom Holland. It has our boy Robert Pattinson. It has
Yes.
Riley Keough. It has Sebastian Stan, and it's just kind of a mess. Like it's 2 hours and 20 minutes. I don't know what it's about. It's set in the 50s and the 60s, and it's just like bad people doing bad things in the South. But it ends with a moment that I had to Google. I was like, is that what I think it is? And it was, and I was like, that is the dumbest thing. I was really looking forward to it, and I just didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't enjoy it, and it was kind of a bummer. Like, Spree not being good doesn't matter because I don't really care, but this one I was really looking forward to, and it is what it is.
Yeah, it's a weird year, man. So
I'm just glad there's new movies.
exactly, 100%.
By the way, I tweeted at David Ehrlich, who makes. Did I tell you about this? I don't know if I told you. I don't even think on the pod.
No, I saw you do it. You said like, "Are you gonna make an end of the year movie thing?"
And he said,
Is that what you're
maybe
talking
I'll try. And then people were like, maybe? Like, he responded almost immediately, which is super cool. Like, he's responded to me before. He responded and just like, I'll try. It might be a little bit later. And people were like, you have to do this. And so it's just cool to see, like, everybody loves, not everybody, but like a lot of people love these things. And I really
like
love
we
it.
talked
And
about. That's cool though. But I mean, come on, guys, it's kind of a big ask for him this year because it's like, how many movies does he have to choose from this year? Not a ton.
well, I don't know that he was not going to do it because of a lack of movies. It just felt like life is crazy, the world's on fire, maybe I don't do it or whatever. But like by the end of the year, I will still have seen I think like 150 new releases.
Jesus Christ,
Like I'm at like 95 right now.
that's insane.
So
Okay,
like
yeah,
there's
that's
a ton of movies. It's just, the big ones, but like,
And next year is probably going to be worse.
yeah, because like this is we're getting all these movies that like were already done, but there's not new movies really being made, right? So
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
We have a Patreon page here on the show, toofast2forever.com. Shout out to Cassie Wilson, Jake Freer, Ben Milliman, Nick Burris, Alex Ellenin, Justin Kleiman, Brian Rodriguez of High School Slumber Party, Haley Gerbies, Wes Hampton, Christian Larson, Jerry Robinson, Dan the Duke Hayden, Renato DiDonato, and Jessica Collins, a.k.a. Montez. Thank you all so very much. Montez
Thank you.
won't hear this for weeks, if not
Years.
longer. But Montez, I mailed your stickers today. So at the $5 level or above, people get stickers. So I mailed that out with a handwritten note to her. So check your
That's very
mailbox
cool.
in the past. Maybe it's a magic mailbox. Maybe it's like the Lake House. Maybe there's Sandra
Ooh.
Bullock and there's Keanu Reeves sending letters back and forth, and we're going back and forth through time.
I want to send magical love notes to Montez through time and
I'm
space
trying, man.
in a mailbox.
I'm trying. Also, yesterday, as this comes out, I posted a link with the link to the Fast and Furious quiz, the Fast and Furious Minute, and the Lap 8, 9, and 10 themes. So if you have not given the picks
nice.
yet, if you're thinking about upgrading, if you're anything like that, all the information is there in one handy place at toofast2forever.com. And Joe, we have an email address, family@cageclub.me, and I gotta say, the floodgates kind of opened. We have a bunch of emails this week.
Okay, cool.
Actually, before we get to the email, I want to say a couple things. Number one, the Comic-Con panel has moved. As you may have noticed,
They keep shifting it.
it was not this week. it's better. Nico was more excited for this. I'm like, are you happy with these? Because he kept changing. We're like, yeah, it's fine. Like, whenever you need us, we're there, whatever. But it
Yep.
moved from
Yep.
Wednesday to Thursday, and then moved from Thursday to Wednesday, October 28th. But instead of giving Nico 3 nights in a row, they're giving him 3 Wednesdays in a row, kind of like a regularly scheduled TV show. And he's very excited about that. Like, it's primetime content weekly they can direct people to, which is, I think, very, very cool. So we were going
Very
to be
awesome
the
for him.
third one, I think. So Wednesday the 28th is when we're going.
Right before Halloween.
Yes, Halloween week. We are talking about the Fast and the Furious. So more information about that.
Are you dressing up?
No, I'm not going
Are
anywhere.
you dressing up for the panel?
Oh, no.
Why not?
I guess I could wear just like a Vulcan. What does Brian wear? Like a Vulcan shirt?
I think I'll dress up as Han because I always look so much like him and I'm so cool.
Oh, boy. Okay. Sure. Sure. I also want to say before we get to the mailbox, if people have watched Spy Racers Rio, like, I don't know if people have watched it yet. You know, everybody's home, everybody's looking for it. I know that Wes started it. But if you have watched it already or you plan to watch it or whatever, email us, family@cageclub.me, and let us know what you think.
Yes.
He emailed in about this. He's been talking to us on social media. Our listener, Jason, his sister passed away recently. He's been going through a tough time. So thinking about you, Jason,
out
our hearts
Jason.
go out to you. Just a bummer, man.
Yeah, he said, man, she was a big fan of Fast and Furious
First one was
too,
her
and
favorite.
It
Yep.
sucks. It sucks, man. So hang in there, brother. You know we're here for you. So.
Yep. Now, emails.
Okay.
First up from Nick Burris. Subject line, most of my notes don't matter. Far, far away.
Okay.
Well, most of my notes are old, so here we go. Love pineapple on pizza with sausage. Yum.
Yeah, pineapple on pizza. I'm not opposed to it. Like I said, it has a place. It has a time and a place.
He says it was also cool. I got another 2 fur babies this lap, which was unintentional. Very cool. I guess 2 cats or dogs
Would you
or
get 2
something.
cats?
I don't know.
I'm severely disappointed that we don't get pictures of pets. If you got new pets, send the pictures, bro.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. Kittens, puppies, doesn't matter. Just send them.
Yeah.
I want to see pictures of new pets. That's one of my favorite things in the world.
He says, girl fight, good movie, like $1 Million Baby. Plus, there's the iconic Fast Connection. I still love it.
Yeah, same.
When I was deployed, that plane in 6 landed a couple times in Afghanistan. It is a big bitch. I guess not a plane, the planet.
Oh, really? I didn't know that it's like a specific plane.
I guess so.
I think that I remember somebody like being really excited about one of these giant planes landing in Florida at some point. Like one of my friends that was in Florida was like, "Oh, this giant plane is landing," and went to go see it. So that makes kind of sense, but I didn't know it was just like one plane. Like, yeah, that's cool.
I guess
Very
so.
cool.
I didn't know either, but that's what Nick says, and I trust him. He knows.
I trust him.
He knows his vehicles.
Yeah, he does.
So I was looking at it from a half a mile away. It's extremely loud. He says it's a big bitch, and he was looking at it from half a mile away. So like it's crazy. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
said it's
Yeah.
extremely loud too, about as loud as the Prowler fighter jet taking off. Both rattled the hangar we worked out of.
Well, I guess it has to have super strong engines to lift a plane that big.
Yeah.
So
He says the Corvette for Guess My Car was the 3rd gen. They went from 53 to 55, then 56 and 57 was like the 58 and 59. They had single headlights instead of duals. Then from 60 to 62 had the same front end as the 59, but the rear was like the 63 Stingray. I loved the 59. Well, way over my head, but I'm glad that you...
this is actually funny. My dad was just looking at Corvettes before. He had a whim and like saw a Corvette somewhere and wanted to buy it, and it was like a 58 or 59, and he was like all stoked on it, and then he didn't buy it. He's just weird. So I was actually just thinking about Corvettes and looking at Corvette pictures because he was all excited because he wanted to go buy this Corvette that he wound up not buying. So
One more thing, listening to Hello from the Magic Tavern podcast. Have you heard of that one or no?
no, have you?
I have. I haven't listened to it, but I've heard of it. It says they did a little bit in episode 10, season 2 of a Fast and Furious improv. It was cool. It's a good podcast, too.
Oh, cool.
It says, anyway, could not find Strange Days anywhere. I know we realized that after the fact that, like, it's almost impossible to find.
If you do find it, it's a great movie. Just it's hard to find.
Yes.
So
I'm listening to the episode now, but hopefully I will be able to leave earlier. But I help with the kids' breakfast before I go to work, so I get to NJ late. But a vacation is coming, so maybe I'll get caught up. Well, that would be cool.
fingers crossed for your vacation, brother. Just for the sense that I feel like everybody needs a vacation right now. So
Yeah.
hope you get one.
Catch you if I can. 4H Nick out. 4 Horseman Nick out. Well, thank you, Nick, for writing it. It's been a while, but I'm glad you caught up.
Yeah, glad you caught up. Glad you're still doing okay, it seems like. So that's always good to hear, brother.
This next email, I sort of alluded to vaguely while you were driving. I don't know if you're going to remember this, but we got an email
Okay.
from the mystery man himself, Renato Di Donato.
Oh, nice!
Happy to join the Too Fast, Too Forever fam, he says.
We're happy to have you, brother.
He says, hey guys, long-time listener, first-time writing in. Probably could have written in sooner, but decided to join the Patreon once I was all caught up to the pod. felt like the
Oh,
right
that's
time
awesome.
after all the hours of entertainment you've provided, especially with the last few months of lockdown going on in Melbourne, which has been brutal.
Well, another, yeah, we talked about this, right? Didn't you? We know that it was another Aussie.
Yes, yeah, we did. Yep, because when I sent the stickers to him, I saw it was an Australian address.
Yes,
So, yeah.
that's right. Cool. Well, welcome aboard, and I'm glad. Yeah, take your time, and I'm glad that it's entertainment. You describe it as entertainment, not like
Not
homework or
work. Yeah, not like
something weird.
Montez who emails in again like, guys, I'm barreling through. It's like, yeah, just like enjoy it, man. But I get it. She's like me. It's fine. Says,
It's okay.
first heard you guys reviewing Fast Five with Nate on Post Wrestling
What?
ages ago when you were already 5 laps in, I think. Thought the premise was nuts, but after watching the movies alongside your reviews in the first lap, thought about how I do love these movies, but these guys are making me appreciate them all over again.
So cool. This is a really cool thing. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. We love Nate too, man.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Says
For sure.
different perspectives, theories, and lore talked about at length by you both, and the extended family has been fantastic for breathing life into these films and made me appreciate my love for the franchise even more.
Awesome, dude. Wow.
Will hope to start writing it now and again to throw in my 2 cents on some of the movies. Too Fast, Too Furious fans, where you at? Keep up the great work. Kind regards, Ren. So maybe he goes by Ren, not full Renato, but yeah, thank you, Ren, for
Thanks,
writing
Ren.
in.
Yeah, dude, appreciate it. Man, there was a whirlwind of emotions in that email there.
Truly.
Dude, Nate's such a good dude.
So then, that's why, and I'm going to talk about Nate now. That's why
Go
I
ahead.
was like, hey, we haven't had Nate on for a while. So I emailed Nate and I was like, hey, we just had a new patron join the show. He found us on your show, and I think that's
Yes.
super awesome. And I was like, you
Yep.
haven't been on in a while, so I gave him the list of movies that we're going to cover the rest of the lap that don't have guests.
I saw that.
And he picked
Or, yeah.
one, and he'll be on shortly-ish. He'll be on this lap. So I was like, yeah, very cool.
Oh, cool. Always good to talk to him, man. Yeah. Wow. Okay, awesome. Double down. See? And Ren, there you go. You cause a new connection.
Yeah. And I also do want to say, Nate said that Furious 7 is coming up soon. It's due up for November, but he might do an election special episode depending on how it turns out.
Okay.
And so it might either be, so we'll be back on there because, his show is only monthly. I don't say only monthly because we did monthly shows forever, but his show is monthly.
Yep.
So either we'll be on Talking Furious 7 in November or December. So coming up soon for the one that The Rock is probably in the least, right? Because he's in the hospital and then flexes out of the cast and Daddy's got to go to work.
Still big role. Still big role.
Yeah. I mean, with The
Cool.
Rock,
And we get
there's
to talk to Nate soon.
nothing but big roles, right? Because just big dude. Thank you, Ren, for reminding me. Because I also, in addition to him, I was like, oh, we haven't had the mics are on this lap, so like it's reminding me. I feel like we have Brian on all the time because Brian is top. Like I literally say his name every episode, but some people kind of
Yeah.
out of sight, out of mind a little bit.
We have fun when we have wacky guests on, and you guys know the crew that like are friends that we're talking to all the time. So it's very apparent that like you're just talking to Brian about watching a movie, and he's like, "Oh, I like that movie." You're like, "Just come on!" Like you've heard episodes where we're just like, we just call Brian in the middle of it, and we're like, "Do you want to talk about this?" And he's
Yeah,
like,
especially
"Yeah,
American
sure."
Graffiti. Yep. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of how it works sometimes.
So thank you again, Ren. Welcome to the family. And you have to send. Well, the one thing you have not done yet that you need to do is you need to send in your rankings. You did not have your rankings yet. So I don't know if
Please.
Too Fast
Yes.
is your number one. I know you said you love it, but send it in.
Ooh.
Family at cageclub.me.
Awesome. Yeah, please. I'm curious to hear it. We're big Too Fast fans. Any Fast and the Furious movie is a good movie, so we're big Too Fast fans for sure.
The next email is from Dan the Duke Hayden. Subject line: games, movies, music, and art.
Hit us, Dan. How's it going?
Hey,
bud?
Joey and Joe, hope all is well. First of all, I'm happy to report that as of this morning, I've completed the piece of art or the piece, he just says the piece, I've been working on for Joey. We'll get in touch soon to figure out a good day for me to bring it to you. I had so much fun working on it, and I hope you like it. Well, I hope so too, because otherwise it's going to be really awkward when I have to accept it.
Yeah, you're gonna have to like hang it in like your bathroom awkwardly or something.
We'll find out. We will find out. He did text me that he's like, hey, when can I come over? And I gave him some options. So I do not know it yet, but soon,
Cool.
soon.
You'll post
I
a
will
picture
know.
on social media,
Yes.
I'm sure, right?
Unless it's terrible, then we're
Please.
just going to pretend it doesn't exist. But it's not going to be terrible. Of course it's
Okay.
not.
I'm sure it's not.
Says, I've been happy to hear you guys talk about speed running and more specifically Mario speed running. I've been to a few AGDQ events back when they would be held in Virginia. That's awesome. Games done quick, which I think I've mentioned on here. They're the speed runners. Oh, I definitely
Yeah.
talked about because they were the people who did like the punch out blindfolded and stuff like that.
yes, you did.
I'm a huge fan of Super Mario World speed runs, but an even bigger fan of Kaizo ROM hacks. In a nutshell,
I don't know what that is.
neither do I. People make their own Super Mario World game for Super Nintendo, and they're hard as fuck. If you ever want to see some
I've seen some of
spectacular
these.
content of a game you'll never beat, check out a run of Grand Poo World 2. This isn't the current world record. He says, I think it's third place, but it's a great run by the streamer Noble Tofu.
So I have seen these before. These are like the watch a kid try to beat an impossible Mario level, and they use like they create their own Mario levels, and you cannot make a mistake.
Well, so there's also like the
Like
new
there's no
ones now
hiding.
too. There's like Super Mario Maker, which I know that the Mikester is like super invested in and super interested in now. But yes, there's it's pixel perfect and it's insane, right? So yeah.
Yeah, you have to like land perfectly. Everything's falling out from under you. You can't stop. You can't. Yeah, those are crazy. They actually give me a lot of anxiety to
Yeah.
watch. Like they're very stress inducing for
Yeah.
me.
He says, let me know what you think. It's definitely worth the under 50-minute watch. Oh boy, but okay. I'll throw it on.
Yeah,
I
that's a
was
good
thinking
background
before
thing
that,
while you're
my
cooking.
my favorite video game is Spelunky, and my favorite TV show is watching people play Spelunky. Like that's not true, right? So
Yeah.
he says the creator of the game, Barb, is currently working on the GPW3 Grand Poo World 3, and he's even making some of it on stream. You can find him on Twitch playing a variety of things. Joey, he's working on Spelunky 2 right now. Okay, cool.
Very cool.
Says great suggestion with Song Exploder. Some of my favorite artists are on here. I really enjoyed the Nine Inch Nails, Decemberist, and Mountain Goats episodes.
Cool, yeah, dude. I'm a big fan of Song Exploder, and like we said, it's not like a podcast you have to listen to every one in order. It's just like pick a song that you like or something that you like, and he breaks it all down. It was super cool. I'm a big DJ Shadow fan, so when he did DJ Shadow, I was like, this is my shit.
Yeah.
There's a part in a DJ Shadow song where DJ Shadow describes it like he was in this like hatch in like a treehouse or something weird, and his wife was like yelling through the door, or he had to build the studio and the thing, so he's yelling to her, and like you hear this weirdness. It was really cool.
So it's kind of like how Cole just heard Emily Ratajkowski zipping her jacket and was like, that's a sample.
Yeah, and building the roof, nail gun, nail gun, nail gun. Exact. It's precisely like that. I think that DJ Shadow was inspired by Zac Efron's character in We Are Your Friends.
I love it here.
To make music.
I love it here.
Love it here.
I'm looking forward to checking out the show on Netflix. Cool.
Yeah, the show is really cool because it's the same thing but with video.
Joe, I don't know if you've seen any press for this, but I just watched a documentary you may be interested in. It's called Red Penguins, about the owners of the Pittsburgh Penguins buying the Russian Red Army hockey team after the fall of the Soviet Union. It's a lot of fun and a great true story. I think it's 99 cents on Amazon if you're interested.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Red
Let me
Penguins.
write that down. Yeah, good looks. Like, I don't know anything about that. I watch, the Penguins have a Emmy-winning series called In the Room. They produce like this show during the season. It kind of feels like Hard Knocks or something like that. Like it has like this kind of vibe, even though it's not that. And I watch a lot of In the Room during the season because they'll play it like every. I think they make like one a week, and it's always like a week behind. So they'll show you like like the past 3 games and what they were traveling like, and like some in between stuff. So like yeah, I'm super fascinated by this hockey stuff. But this sounds really really cool, and I don't know the story or the movie. So perfect, thank you.
Cool. He says, lastly, it was a fun change of pace listening to you guys talk about a Lifetime movie. I've also found myself folding laundry, drinking a beer, and watching these god-awful things with my wife when we have nothing better to do.
Yep.
They're great background
that's how you
noise,
do
but
it.
every once in a while you'll get to a gem of horrible dialogue or acting or both, and it will instantly become
Yep.
the thing my wife and I quote to each other for a month. You should all get together and see if we can make one of these things. How hard could it possibly be? You guys in?
Mine would be like so over the top it would become like one of these like spoof movies. But I think that I could write a good Lifetime movie at this point. I know all the tropes. There'd be a lot of bonking. There'd be some pot, like some somebody gets hit with a cast iron skillet. There would be a murder. There would be like a switch, like a role reversal.
Amnesia.
Amnesia for sure. Somebody who's like dressed up like someone else and nobody recognizes it. That will be a good one.
Important. All important things.
We could come up with one. I'm with you, Dan. Yeah, Dan, we'll brainstorm it. We can make a vision board about it.
Another staple of Lifetime movies, I'm sure.
I mean, not really, but I just imagine, like, every Lifetime movie is just, like, one whiteboard and just, like, 50 arrows, right? Like, that's all that they need. And they're like, that's the script. There you go.
Says, anyways, back to real life, trying to teach the baby to crawl, but it's tough because she's hungry. I better fix her a little bottle first. Keep up the good work. I'll be listening.
Oh, that's awesome, Dan. Good luck with the crawling. I'm sure she'll get it eventually. It seems like they all do.
Then he says, P.S. Joe, I remember these commercials. They were baked into my brain from childhood. I never was a Monster Truck kid, but hell yes, of course I remember Gravedigger. I've got your back.
Yes. Thank you. And Wes messaged us too and said he remembered them, and he asked Mrs. Wes And she even remembered
But
them.
she also said, or is that a wrestler? Like, it sounds like a
It
wrestler.
could be both. It could. It totally could. But yeah, they were always like Gravedigger live Saturday, 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 and they would just repeat the thing and yell. Yeah.
Yep. There's a Simpsons episode. Oh, God, hold on. It's Truckosaurus. Do you know this? Have you seen this or no? So at the end, they say, if you miss it, you better be dead or in jail. And if you're in jail, break out. Like, yeah.
Exactly. Yes, that's what this
Next
was.
email from Alex Ellen in subject line Fuller House.
Okay, what's up, Alex? And he's talking about what Nico and Kevin were talking about Fuller House.
Correct.
Cool.
Listening to the talk of Fuller House sent me down a wiki hole. I'm guessing y'all didn't know this since it wasn't mentioned, and I cannot believe, because I knew this, and I'm sure he knows this too, because he watches the show, cannot believe this was not brought up. I suggest Googling who did the theme for Fuller House. Do you know who did the theme for Fuller House?
No.
A little lady by the name of Carly Rae Jepsen.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
So the fact that we were talking about Fuller House, like, that's not firmly in my brain, but the fact that Nico and I have seen Carly Rae Jepsen together in concert.
Together, yeah.
With Kevo and with Jonah and with Kyle and with
Yeah.
Kyle's husband. Like, we love Carly Rae. Like, Nico and Chris Podcast are the ones who got me into Carly Rae. The fact that it did not come up that Carly Rae did the theme song is... I think we should have our fan card revoked, I think, basically. But Alex, I knew that. It did not come up. I don't know why, but I'm glad that you brought it up, because any chance to talk about Carly Rae is a good excuse.
Yeah, that's awesome. No, I would never have known that, obviously.
Right.
But that's really cool.
There's no
I'm
reason
glad
you should
for
be able
guys.
to know that.
Nope. No, not at all.
And the last email we have is from the aforementioned Montez. What year is it?
I don't remember.
Guys, I've made it to the summer of 2019, lap 4. I don't know how many consecutive hours I've listened to this by now. My husband said it's weird that I'm even listening in the shower and when I brush my teeth. I'm very committed to this. All of this to say, I'm under 100 episodes. I'm going to listen to every freaking one, even if it kills me. Maybe I'll eventually even watch past 5. Who knows? Love, Montez.
Oh, dude, she's so awesome. Thank you for your dedication. Stop. Like, just take a break.
No, she's got to do it. She's got to go.
She's going to be like, all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy very soon, right? Like, she's going to go off the deep end. Endless amounts of Too Fast.
But that's all the emails. If you want to email in family@cageclub.me, thank you all for writing in. That was a great day of emails. Hello to Ren for the first time.
Yeah,
Montez,
hello,
stay
Ren.
strong. And thank you
Hang in
everybody else
there.
for writing in.
Yeah, seriously.
On the streets, Joe, any news about the Fast and Furious that you have seen?
I have not seen any news. Haley did send us a video because of our recording time and prep. I didn't get to watch it yet, so I'll report back. Haley, I saw it. I told you I'd watch it. I will.
I also do want to say that the news that was in the video was not new news.
Yeah, it was only new news to me. As usual, Joey knew it, but that's fine. I still want to watch the video and see if there's anything that we could talk about. So thank you.
Because I think we briefly, and this is all going to sound like very weird. It's fine. We'll talk about it next episode. But I think it's something we very briefly mentioned one time this lap. It feels like a little gossipy more than news, but it's also, it goes into a lot of things we're talking about. But you'll report back on it next episode.
Yes, I will.
I don't think there's any other news that I have seen other than that. So Joe, the Ana Lucia Cortez, Leticia Ortiz lost for a minute. Episode 2 for the road.
Holy fuck. This is it. This is what we were waiting for the whole time.
So, okay. So if people don't know, if people have not watched Lost, if people do not know, and I jokingly, but I also needed to know before we started recording, you saw the end of this episode because Ana Lucia is killed in this episode. That Michael shoots and kills Ana Lucia.
Oh, she's dead. Fuck. Come on, man. No spoilers.
Oh, yeah, no, she's dead.
Ah. Okay. Well, cool. I was holding a thread hoping that she made it through. Well, come on, man. They don't let her back? She didn't forget just for a minute?
Well, so this is the question. So I had been saying all lap, and then as I realized what I was actually saying, I needed to sort of pivot it, but I was pretty clear all along that we're only covering season 2.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, you did. Because there's more seasons of this.
I wondered if you had realized what that meant.
No,
and you hadn't brought it up, and I asked Rachel. She's like, "No, he doesn't really pay attention to that kind of thing." I was like, "Yeah, that makes sense." But yes, so I looked up. So I guess kind of sort of trivia about this is that she had only committed to one season because she wanted to keep up with other projects. If you're a TV show, especially a TV show during 25 episodes a year, it's kind of all you can do for 9 months, right? And so, like, she can't
Yeah.
make movies. Like, she basically can't be Letty if she's on Lost.
Yeah, exactly.
This is the episode. This is the bigger ish one. I mean, this is there's not much bigger than this. I mean, I guess we just see her bleeding out, but like at the end of the episode, Michael shoots and kills Libby,
Libby.
and then shoots
So
himself.
Libby's dead too?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude.
I mean, she takes 2 to the stomach. Like that's the other thing. Like they take gunshot wounds, but like it's bad. Like it's bad.
And then he goes and he gets Henry and shoots himself in the arm.
Yes, because he's
So
like
to
trying to make it look like Henry did it. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm guessing. Yep.
That was the other thing that apparently Cynthia Watros, who plays Libby, also wanted to kind of keep her schedule open or whatever. Both of them just were essentially like they kind of wrote themselves off by having other projects coming up or whatever. But yeah, this is the episode. So here's the big question before we talk about this episode.
What?
She is in some regards in the next episode, like in the episode called Question Mark, which is a great episode.
Yeah.
She's in it in some. I don't know if it's going to be previously on. I don't know if it's going to be her lifeless body. I don't know what it is. But Michelle Rodriguez is in that episode.
Okay.
Then we have 2 more episodes this season, which she is not in.
Okay.
And then we have 4 more seasons of the show. So this is up to you, and I guess also the listeners. But
I think the listeners mostly.
I think it kind of makes sense to watch out the rest of the season and talk about the rest of the season because it's
Amen.
not that much
Agreed.
more.
And it's gonna tie it up, and we get the like reactions and things. Yeah, that makes sense.
But I don't know that it makes sense to watch like 70 episodes without her in it.
Agreed.
So maybe we just ride out season 2 because we have another segment to replace this that we're still fine tuning, fine crafting, whatever.
Yes,
but
yes.
So it's a kind of a weird thing that I was.
Do you guys like this? I'm more curious to hear what people think about it, right? Like I like the show. I'm gonna keep watching it. I'm gonna go through these, and I'm gonna talk to you about it. It's like whether or not we record when we talk about it or not.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, I want to. So, like, I'm of 2 minds here because, and we've not talked about this yet because I didn't want to say like I didn't want to have this conversation until you saw this episode. I want to keep watching because I want to rewatch the whole thing, and I know that if we don't talk about it, I'm not gonna have a quote unquote reason to watch it. But
Yes.
at the same time, I don't know that it makes. I mean, the thing that we're replacing it with doesn't make any sense either. But like, it would be weird to talk about Lost for like another year and a half.
True.
After Michelle Rodriguez is not on the show
Can't
anymore.
do it, dude. We need to keep on a schedule and just like keep doing them, but like not do this segment. Maybe I don't know.
We'll figure
And
it
people
out.
are like, "Oh man, dude, I love it, and I'm so glad that I don't have to watch Lost because you talk about it." I'd be like, "Fuck yeah, let's do it."
I feel like people are gonna like the thing we're gonna replace it with more, but maybe not. I don't know.
but I mean, it also doesn't make sense either. So,
No, I
yeah.
know, but like at least
It's more relevant.
it's
kind
ongoing.
of.
Like it's essentially indefinite.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll
Yeah.
figure it out. But we have at least, so we have 3 more episodes this season after this episode, one of which she's quote unquote in. She also, and I don't remember the context, but she's in like the last 2 episodes. Like she comes back in some regard. I don't remember if it's flashbacks.
Yeah,
I don't
of
remember.
course.
I honestly can't tell you. Even by the time I saw that on TV, I was probably like, she was in the show? I don't remember. But yes, so she is, on her way out the door. But yeah, let's talk about it. 2 for the road.
Okay.
Hit me with it. Because this is, not
So-
only does a big thing happen, but there is so much Anna.
We realize that like we go back to when she shot the guy that shot her. She like shoots him in the parking lot. He's dead, and her mom finds out. Like she like knows it's her. So she's like, "Come on, like we know you did it, whatever, whatever." And Anna's like, "Fine, I don't want to be a cop anymore," and just like throws her badge at her. And oh, she has like a really great line too. She was like, "You're a police officer. If you don't respect me, at least respect that." And I was like, Brian O'Connor doesn't respect police officers either.
Mm-hmm.
She does what any good police officer that's been shamed out of the force does and becomes a TSA agent, apparently. That's
Love it. Yep.
it's like a funny, I guess it's a funny joke. It might be funnier if you're like a cop or cop adjacent or TSA adjacent. But yeah, I was like, oh, that's an interesting thought. She's at the airport and she like gets a drink after work, but she like stays in the airport to get a drink. And she runs into none other than Jack's dad.
Christian Shepherd.
She doesn't know that she was hanging out with Jack's dad. Like her and Jack don't, right?
No, but there is a tie. So later in the episode, they go to Sydney.
He wants to go meet his apparently estranged daughter / her mom.
Who is new to us, new to us, yep.
Yeah, Jack has a weird sister that we didn't know. Well, she's not weird, but the weird situational sister
Yep.
that we didn't know about. So we're like, oh, that's cool. And she was there for protection. How you meet a strange old man in a bar in the airport and he's like, come to fucking Australia with me, and she's like, send it.
I mean, she has nothing else going on. She lost her job, her mom's not talking to her, was shot, she lost her baby. Like,
Yeah,
She's got nothing else going on, right? So like, why not? Like, if somebody's like, hey, come to Sydney, I will pay you to basically be a bodyguard and pay you to be there. Like, yeah, why not?
they keep going, and they argue, and she's like, "You're a fucking mess, and you're an alcoholic," and he's like, "Yep, yep, I am. Here's a bar. Let's go." And she's like, "No, I can't do that." He opens the door and hits Sawyer with the door,
Yes,
because that's the scene when like Sawyer and Jack's dad like are in the bar
they're
together
drinking,
because
and Sawyer has said that to Jack on the island. Like, I met this doctor, this disgraced doctor in Australia. I drank with him and all this whatever, right? Like he was kind of rubbing. Like,
Jack said something like some weird idiom that like only his dad would say, and Sawyer's like, "What do you say?" Like, "I just want to let you know that I met this doctor once, and he said he was really sad he couldn't call his son to say goodbye or something." We don't know right now. I don't know how Jack's dad died, right?
I don't think so, but like
Do we
everything
eventually
is happening
find
at the
out?
same time. Like they're all there at the same time, right? Like
Yes,
we're talking
obviously.
about like Rose and Bernard in Australia because she was being there for Faith Healer. Anna is there because she went with Christian. With Christian, she's calling her mom like I'm coming back.
Yep.
Jack is down there to get the body. So like something happens between the time that she drops him off at the bar and she goes to the airport.
Yes,
He's
because
dead.
Jack
Like,
is
that's
there
why
now.
Jack's there, right? So
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's what I'm saying. So like something happens, but I don't know what happened yet. Like me specifically. So there's like that going on. Also, Henry and the Hatch tries to kill Ana Lucia. She comes in and he's like has all this weird stuff going on. Like the man in charge like told us about you and like all this stuff. And it turns out like Locke saves her. And then Locke, for some stupid reason, pretends like it didn't happen. Like that, I didn't get. Like, why did Locke like cover for her? Like because she's like injured, and Jack comes back like, "Dude, what happened to your head?" And he's like, "Oh, I made her slip on the floor." And she's like, "Dumb me," and
I think he's trying to earn brownie points with Ana Lucia because he's not a captive, but he's there injured and she's taking care of him. And I feel like I think he's thinking if he's nice to her, she will do good things for him, maybe, or like be a little bit more lenient or whatever.
but it's a dumb thing to be like. This
Well,
is what
I think he
happened.
thinks it's going to be harmless, and then he realizes, oh shit, Anna took Sawyer's gun when she and him had sex in the woods,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Oh, we finally got the moment of like two of them being aggressive at each other, and they finally banged it out. And
yep.
I was like, "Thank you. That's what should have happened a million times over in this show. So thank you." And then Locke delivers this like really great line. He's like, "Jack, I think I have something to tell you." And it's like, no shit. Like we see Anna in there. She like slides a knife at Henry, and it's like, cut yourself out. And then
Well,
how
it's
does
classic
Michael?
like scumbag cop tactics, where it's like, give me a reason to shoot you. He
Yes,
cut
she's
himself
covering
free, and
herself.
I had to kill him because like he was free, like he was coming after me.
Yes, exactly. But how does Michael wind up with the gun? Does he knock her out or something?
Michael comes to. She says to him, I couldn't do it. I couldn't kill him. I looked at him. I can't do this anymore. And he says, I'll do it. He's like, they have Walt. Basically, he doesn't say this, but like, they have Walt. I hate all of them. Let me kill him.
That's right.
Says, I'm sorry. Shoots her. Libby shows up. He gets startled, shoots her twice,
Yes.
opens the locked door, shoots himself on the arm. Episode ends.
So I think that he probably made some kind of like trade with them to like go get Henry back for them, or this was some kind of test for him. I think it's more so that he's like supposed to go get Henry back. Like instead of it being like a 1-to-1 trade where they bring them to the middle of the woods, they're like, go bring us Henry back and we might give you Walt back, is what I'm guessing.
That's what it would seem like.
That's what it would seem like, but hopefully it's not that simple. I like it better when I can't put the stuff together. Like it's like more crazy, but
I was actually talking to somebody about this, about you watching this for the first time, and I'm like, you're picking up on things that I think a lot of people didn't pick up on the time. But number one, like you're 32 or whatever, as opposed to being 17 when it came out or whatever,
yeah.
right? Also,
Yeah.
the fact that like this was such an important, transcendent, landmark show for so many reasons, but it paved the way for all these different shows after it. So, like comparatively, it's not nearly as sophisticated as a lot of other shows, and so I think
Ah.
in that regard, like it's a weird kind of thing, right? Where it's like,
You needed this for Breaking Bad, but like once you've seen Breaking Bad and you go back and watch this, you're piecing together a lot of the random things, right?
exactly. And so I think it's cool, but it also kind of makes sense that like why it's sometimes easy. It seems easy that like you're like, oh, like they're building a church. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, yeah, like it just. But I feel like the way that so many shows now like take these disparate elements and combine them or whatever, right? Like it's just this cool thing that
Yes.
like what I'm trying to say. It's like a compliment in a way. It's like
Yes.
you're such a more sophisticated TV viewer because like we all are. Like we all just
Yep.
have seen so
I get
much
it.
TV since this episode, since the show came out, that what was once like insane and groundbreaking, like can you like I can't believe what's happened next. You're like, oh, of course it's gonna be like A to B to C or whatever, right? So
Yeah.
it's
Yes.
kind of it might be disappointing because like it's not as surprising, but at the same time it's like,
No, it
oh,
still
like
gets me
yeah,
sometimes. It definitely does. Like I'm you're right. And it's just sophistication from consuming media. You've experienced this that you watch like a movie with your dad. And you're watching this, you're like, dude, you'll never guess what happens. And he's like, oh, this happens. And you're like, how the fuck did you know that? He's like, because it's like this 15 other movies that you haven't seen either. And you're like, oh. Like the first time you see it, you're so surprised by it. But like whenever we watch, 50 car movies, we're like, oh yeah, it's going to be this.
yep.
So.
So what else in this episode? I think I have a bunch more notes that I want to go through, but anything else in this episode of note that you want to point out?
No, I covered all the main things that I want. We've got some like look at like what the others like where they are. Michael talks about like that there's a bunch of women and children and like they're very scantily armed, so he thinks they could go take them. That's why they're trying to get the guns from Sawyer. Jack's just like a random asshole and like throws part of Sawyer's like manuscript that he's reading away. Like, what the fuck is up with that, bro? Like, just
Anger.
why are
Just
you such a dick all the time? The more that okay, so you were talking about like what camps and like who's the heroes and things like that. Like when I watch this, my two favorite characters are well, like three are like Locke, Sawyer, and Hurley. But Hurley's like just like neutral good, right? Like he's not involved in anything bad. So
Well, and now Hurley has like
I know lost the love.
yeah, boy.
It's gonna be rough. That sucks.
In the flashback, so at the beginning of the flashback, she goes on top of a roof. There's the cars, like the cop cars are all the lost numbers, but the roof looks like, and I don't know that it is, but it looks like
I
the
know.
roof from the gearing up montage when they go take down Johnny Tran.
I 1,000% thought this, and I didn't write the note down. But yes, you're 100% right. I agree with you. It looks like the one where, yep, they all like line up. But I mean, I guess it's like any rooftop garage in LA, but it very much reminded me of that too.
Like we don't have the same sites, like the same distinctive landmarks, and like there's not as much time spent up there. But I was like, this would be such an appropriate fast action if this is the same rooftop.
It would. It really, really would.
So when she goes to Australia with Christian, with Jack's dad, Christian, they give each other names. He calls
Fake
her
names.
Sarah, and she calls him
Yeah.
Tom. Sarah is Jack's wife's name, which is kind of like an interesting choice.
Ooh, okay. That's right, because he mentioned her before and like said her name.
Oh,
Okay.
we haven't talked about the greatest moment in this episode. Hurley wants to go on this romantic date with Libby, and that's the ultimate heartbreaking thing that she went to the thing to get wine for them to drink, right?
Yeah.
And
oh, I didn't connect that. That's right.
he tells Saeed that he essentially wants to say anything to her, like he wants a boombox so he can do the say
Yes.
anything, the John Cusack move from Say Anything. Saeed's like, it probably won't work, man. Like, how about this? How about I just get you directions to like this ultimate romantic beach where I took Shannon and Libby's gonna love it. And so they walk around. They're getting lost in the woods, and Libby, jokes about Fred Flintstone like passing the same thing every time. Hurley's like, no, we're not lost. We're not lost. I know exactly where we are. He's like, there's the beach, and she's like, no. Hurley, this is our beach. Like, there's Jin, and Jin just like doing fish stuff. She's like, I'll go get wine. You go get this. Like, we'll have a nice moment or whatever.
Yeah.
So she goes off, and then Jin, in the greatest
Yes.
thing in the world. There's a couple of these online. Just the thumbs up, just like the my man. Like it's just it's a beautiful.
I've seen
gif.
this before, actually. I've seen this GIF many a times now that I think about it.
I love it so much. It's just it's Jin
Yeah.
just being like,
He's
nice.
like, "You're doing good. Like, keep it up, bud." Like, he could see it.
I
That's
love it.
awesome.
What I also liked was that in the flashback, Anna hearing Jack's breakdown at the terminal
Yes.
about getting his dad home is what prompts her to call the mom. But like just thinking about how devastating this mom's going to be like when she gets to the airport and the flight never landed, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's a bummer. So here's the information. Here's the trivia about the characters' deaths. So Anna was always meant to die at the end of the season because Michelle Rodriguez only committed to one season because she wanted to remain available for other projects.
Makes sense.
But because a lot of fans hated her character, because, if you're not watching for why we're watching it, like, she's just angry and, like, quick to pull a trigger and she kills Shannon and whatever. Because of that, they decided that, like, or they realized that this was not going to be, like, a shock or, like, it was not going to be something that, like, people were really upset about.
So they added Libby in there too.
Yes.
Okay.
And so
Nice.
they chose to kill off Libby because she was a beloved character. Writers also ran out of ideas for her present-day storyline. I talked about last episode. And I knew that she died, but I don't know. They still could bring her back in a flashback. But remember when Hurley's like, maybe I'll remember how I know you. Like, he remembers her from the mental hospital, but he doesn't remember.
Yes.
He makes a joke about that, too. He's just like, I used to watch it all the time in the hospital when I broke my hip. Like, just, come on, man. Like, it's okay.
Yeah.
I think the biggest issue with any show is when characters are happy, because when characters are happy, there's no conflict. And
Yep.
so if Hurley and Libby are just like in marital bliss, essentially, what are they supposed to do, right?
Like you'd have to like inject like Kate into their relationship, which wouldn't work, or
Right.
like make like a love triangle or something, and like it's not gonna happen. It's just not. So
They had ideas for her for flashbacks, which I think included like how she got to the hospital or whatever, but they just, she wasn't available for later seasons, and so they just decided to kill her off too.
makes sense.
However, both Cynthia Watros and Michelle Rodriguez, the actresses, have DUIs, and the writers had to be like, no, it's not because of their DUIs that we killed them off. But she's like, ooh, that's a kind of a weird, unfortunate coincidence.
Oh God, that's not nice or fun. We knew about Michelle Rodriguez's, but not.
Yes. And the only other note that I have about how this ended or whatever, Cynthia Watros, who plays Libby, was very upset when she learned that she was about to die, and the showrunners Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse felt so bad that they helped her get a pilot called My Ex Life. And so she was the star of this pilot, but the pilot didn't get picked up to series.
Yeah, obviously that didn't do too well because we
So-
don't know what it is.
Bummer, yeah.
Bummer.
Next episode is question mark. It's just the episode is titled question mark. I think another great episode. Again, like we're in the sweet spot. We're in the real like
Yeah.
A stuff of Lost. So we are all full steam ahead. So I'm sorry that I kind of spoiled it, but like I needed to have a conversation about like what we're actually doing on the show because like
Makes sense. Yeah.
she's
No.
she's effectively gone.
You didn't spoil it. I should have connected the dots, but I'm too focused on the show to connect the dots that
Like Jack's a
we're
good
stuck.
doctor, but it's like he's not that good of a doctor, right?
He doesn't have like an operating room. Like
Yeah.
he's on an island with a hatch, yeah, and some like knives and scissors. So yeah,
Cool. Any other thoughts about this episode of Lost?
no,
Then let us
That was a
talk
good
about
one, though.
the Fast and Furious Minute 93. I didn't have a great title for it, but I just called it Spray and Pray.
it's a good title.
So in this minute, Dom storms off back to the garage, gets in his Charger, and peels out of the driveway.
Yes.
Brian chases after Johnny and Lance through the streets of Los Angeles. Johnny and Lance wheelie, then turn and spray the street with bullets from their SMGs. Brian hits the Nas to try to catch up to them.
The Nas is a nice touch. I always forget that he uses Nas here.
It's the first time we've had Nas since the Too Soon Junior moment. So it's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah, because we were 20 minutes chasing the truck, lots of grunting and speeding, but no Nas.
Yeah. There's no dialogue in this minute, as you just heard, as I just played the audio.
Yeah.
The song Fourth Floor continues. Actually, I don't even know if I'm going to play the audio because, like, it's literally just this. Maybe I will because there's the Nas sounds and stuff like that. I'll put it in there. You heard it. You know. For as much has happened in the last 2 minutes, there's not a ton that goes on here.
No, it's just the beginning of the chase, and we're gonna get another chase. We're gonna be in a chase for a while, so there's not a lot that's going on.
And
for
we're
sure.
nearing the end of the movie.
Very near the end of the movie.
When I watched the minute this morning, I was like, there's one thing I would love to see you try to do. And you are the king of Google Maps in the segment. Have you, and I know that you found Thing, what did you find in terms of the route or where they are or where the chase goes in this minute?
You were talking about this, and I was like, of course I'm gonna try to figure out what street that they're on. That's number one. And I found a source that's movie-locations.com. And I'm a big idiot because it gave us a bunch of the addresses of a bunch of things
Which
that
you
I
found
spent.
before, right?
Yeah, the hard way. This just had them all in a list. So yeah, it has a bunch of the like addresses of places in the movie, and I found the street. Okay, if you click, I don't know if you like how I formatted this, but you want to check it out.
I don't know how to pronounce the street.
Michael Torina.
Michelle
Michelle Torina.
Torina. Yeah.
In Echo Park in LA.
Yep.
I picked that perspective. Do you like that perspective?
What I liked about the scene, which I think this screenshot also captures very well, is there's a real sense of speed.
Yes.
The thing that I thought about while watching this, and I know it's kind of like a weird comparison because like everything is car racing, but like in Star Wars: The Force Awakens, when J.J. Abrams films the Millennium Falcon, like on like the surface of the planet, like trying not to hit mountains and shit, right? Like it's
Yes.
super cool, and like it gives you a sense of like real speed, because like in outer space it's whatever. And like I think, here it feels a little different, because instead of just being like cars on a highway or something where you don't really have a sense of it, like
And
they're
you're moving
weaving
with
through
them.
shit. Yeah.
It's that they have stationary camera points lined up along the route, and you see them go by,
Yep.
not that you're following along with them a lot.
And like the low camera angles, I think when they're capturing the cars and the bikes driving, it just feels it's very cool.
So if you go, so I have it looking down the street, like the curvy street that Brian and Johnny Tran
Yep.
and Lance come up. But if you turn around and then you go up, you can see the like bump where they get air. Like if you keep walking,
Okay, cool.
because they're on that street. Like then they shoot it from the other side, and that's where you get that shot from like the bottom of the street of them coming down.
Yep.
And like them like pray and spray along all the cars here.
Which I do want to say that, they're trying to shoot Brian, obviously, and
Yeah.
they do not hit Brian's car seemingly at all, but they hit
No.
8 other cars. Like it's amazing. Like they almost hit every other car on the street except for Brian's. Like I counted
Yeah.
at least 8. I think it's roughly 8, but like they hit so many cars that just aren't Brian's.
They really blow up two main cars that like were the
Yeah.
ones that like I focused on, and there's like a 77 Lincoln Continental that they like really blow the shit out of, and then there's like an 88 Ford Taurus that they really fire into too. So I got both of those in the cars. Finding the street was the cool thing, and it apparently looks like it's like they found one set. You know how we talk about like sometimes Brian's driving and it's like on 3 different streets in different places, because like that's just how movies work.
Yep.
This is like, no, they found like a windy road that goes up, they hit the NOS, they jump, get some air, and then they go down this hill. So yeah, this was real. So that was pretty cool to me.
Very cool. Anything else of note? I mean, we're going to talk about what I think the trivia question will be. We can talk about that element of it that you noticed and that you found things of, but
Yes.
anything else other than that you want to talk about in this minute?
No, I think that's it. I'm curious to keep following them. I got some places in the next ones. I want to see where they keep going. I'm going to keep adding the like spots as the minutes go. So that's my thoughts.
So the trivia question, because I watched this, I was like, I have no idea what the trivia question should be. I was like, can you try to find what the route is? And you said it's probably the same route that they did in Bullet. And I'm like, well, it can't be, because like that's San Francisco and this is
Yes.
LA, but like it's very clearly like you were right that like it's an homage to Bullet. Like there's even like in the source in the movie location site, I think you found that like
Yeah.
they say like in an homage to Bullet.
Oh, that was the other thing. I forgot to mention that in the movie locations thing. This is also the same street that the house from Scream 3 and Halloween H2O are on.
Oh,
By
very
the
cool.
way. Yeah, which I think is really really cool because I'm a big fan of Halloween H2O.
So I want to write, and I'm trying to think of the wording, but I want to basically say what car movie does this movie pay homage to? And the answer is Bullet.
Yes.
So what famous
Yes.
car movie does Brian chasing after Johnny and Lance pay homage to
Attempt to recreate.
or attempt to recreate? So we can say Bullet. What are some other huge ones? We can say Vanishing Point,
To Live and Die in LA.
and we can say Ronin too,
Oh yeah, there you go.
because those are all like huge car chase movies. So yeah, and all
Yes, and they're
past
all in-
episodes of the pod.
That's perfect. I think that's a really good. And this one's kind of an easy one because we know in 2 that Suki calls Brian Bullet.
Bullet.
So it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's not
Like,
explicitly in the movie, and like you kind of need to think and like do some like whatever. But I think it's a fair question, because if you know, I feel like if you're taking this quiz, you've seen Bullet, and you'd be like, oh right, like that's the up and
or
down.
listen to
whatever.
us at least. So
Yeah. Minute 93, Spray and Pray. What famous car movie does Brian chasing after Johnny and Lance pay homage to or attempt to recreate? And the answer is Bullet.
this is a good question.
Well, Joe, let us take a break and let us come back and talk about Fast and Furious, Spy Racers, Rio.
Welcome back to Too Fast, Too Forever. This is episode number 135, Spy Racers, Season 2, Rio. This episode's brought to you by the CIA, specifically the Spy Kids website. Secret gadgets, sneaking around in trench coats, danger around every corner. There's a little of that, but the real CIA is more complex and interesting than you can imagine. Shout out to the CIA.
If we weren't already on a list, we are now. Well, welcome back to the show.
Did you see this
Fast and
page, by
Furious.
the way?
Who are we? We are the nation's first line of defense. Yeah, this is baby's first introduction to the CIA, right?
Exactly. Who made this? There's somebody at the CIA that created this webpage.
There's like a whole gathering of people who like created the web page, proofread it, and
Yeah.
everything, right? So yeah.
The things you find on the like sometimes I get like surprised that things were created for the internet, and this is one of those times.
Yeah.
So
Well, shout out to the CIA. Welcome back to Spy Racers Season 2. The interesting thing, Joe, and I don't know if you looked this up on IMDb, it's not even really on IMDb yet. Like, I think this must have
really,
caught everyone by surprise. Like, I don't know if you've ever looked at IMDb for TV shows that
no.
are upcoming, but like when a show is renewed, they'll say like Season 2 and they'll just have like one episode. And it might say like Season 2, Episode 1, or like in this case as a title, but the other episodes are not listed. There's also on Wikipedia, there are no other plot descriptions yet. Like we are so at the cutting edge of this. There's not a lot of background stuff. Like the first, I don't know if you remember, but like when we did the first season, like I copied and pasted the summaries for the different episodes. And we went episode by episode because like we had this whole thing, right? But like now we're too early on this, I guess. Like people, like the internet is not ready for us to talk about this yet.
Apparently not.
It's
That's no,
crazy.
that's very interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about it. No.
So yeah, so I don't know that we can really go episode by episode. I also think based on our conversation with Nico and Kevo last time, the nature of Netflix series, it kind of feels like episodic, but it also just feels like it's one story kind of, right?
Yes, and I was thinking that as I was watching this. When we were talking to Nico and Kevo last time, it kind of felt like three different missions or through lines in season one. This one felt like two pieces, with maybe one being like a prelude. Because there's like the pre going to Rio, and I feel in Rio feels like one giant mission.
The one thing that I was thinking about while watching this is that there's not a ton of racing in this, but the central action element is a race through the streets of Rio, which is in episode 7, right? But
Yes,
it does feel like we're building toward that moment
the whole time.
the whole time. Yeah. I was thinking also while like I'm glad that we talked about this again with Nico and Kevo because I don't know what our plan would have been like. I don't know if I would have rewatched the first season because we knew like I'm glad that we rearranged because I have the first season fresh in my brain,
Same.
and I'm also glad that we had the conversation about like what we want, what we expect, so on and so forth. But this felt kind of like a little bit of like a remix of Fast Five that does some cool things, but I feel like
Yeah,
could have done more, like way more in certain areas, certain elements.
I agree, and it seems like it took a little bit different direction than the first season, and I think that it kind of cut out some of the elements that Nico and Kevo liked about the animation. Like you lose like some of these like Yoka moments and like these like cutaway kind of weird fun time things.
Although the
So
flashback animation to the main character, so okay, so on a broad scale, they go down. They're tracking this thing. Miss Nowhere's like, "You're not going to Rio. Interpol's got this," and then they can finally convince her that they're going to Interpol or they're going to Rio, and they're tracking this race through through the favelas. These 5 crime families, a very
gangs,
Godfather,
yeah.
right? The 5 Brazilian crime families that run the favelas. There is this woman who has been blown up in a car crash a year before, and like immediately I was like, "Oh, she's not dead." Like
Yeah.
that's just what the franchise does. Like, there's no way she's dead.
Yep.
Like they sent a team down. Like it's not a complicated plot, but it's also a complicated plot, and it's also all blurring in my brain.
I'm starting to realize, like, when I watch this, I feel like I miss giant chunks of it, but it's just because it's, like, an 8-part animated series. Not even so much plot holes, but they just, like, make jumps.
There's a big thing in this season that we have never really thought before. I don't think where the franchise could go, and that's mind control, right?
Yes, this is the main driving force, and this is what I want to talk about, too.
And so there's mind control, and so everybody we think are good look bad, but it's only because they're under this mind control that Rafaela, who is this supposed presumed dead heiress to one of the Brazilian, the Rio families,
Crime
has been like
families.
orchestrating this whole like comeback from the dead or whatever. And so they had
Yes.
sent down Layla, who was Shashi's first in command in the first season. They send
Yes.
her down. I guess Ms. Nowhere's group sends her down, but then she went MIA, and we later find out we think that she's bad, but in fact we find out that she is just under mind
Mind
control.
control.
And then later in the season, Miss Nowhere looks bad too, but it's like, oh no, she's very clearly like the show wants you to think, oh my, can you believe that she turned? It's like, well, no, like just
You
it's mind
just
control.
established there's mind control,
Yeah,
and Layla was mind controlled. I really enjoyed the Lettiness, and I think we might get the answer of who our Letty is in this season. It has to be Layla because she was working with the law and got in too deep, kind of. Right, which is like the premise of Brian getting Letty to go and work undercover, and that's why Letty gets, shot and memoried. So I was like, oh, that plays really interesting into our lap and our talk and everything like that. So
and there's also in terms of our lap and our themes, like there's a lot of amnesia and there's a lot of
a lot of amnesia.
forgetting, and
Yep.
there's a lot of everything in that regard. I also think that the what Echo does, because you were saying that Layla is Letty, right? Is that what you said?
Yes, Layla, the plot behind Layla going down, going too deep and stuff like that mirrors Brian sending Letty to work for what, Braga, I
Yeah.
guess.
There's a little bit of kind of Letty, a little bit in Echo, who is the girl on Tony's team, because
Yes.
she's training and she's being capable and she is leading the charge. Although what I liked about her, and this
No.
is the one reference that Nico and Keva won't get yet, is that they call her Little Nowhere, and she's like, "Don't call me Little Nowhere." And I was like, "That's such a little nobody thing to say," but she's
Yes.
behaving like Ms. Nowhere. Yeah,
I was thinking of Echo as either Little Nobody or as like the Elena to Miss Nowhere's Hobbs.
yeah, that's fair.
She's tagging along, but like there's, like a sensei type relationship, teacher student relationship going on there.
The one thing that I was really my big regret, and I'm like, and I know that hopefully Nico and Kev are not listening to this. I know that Elena is dead now, like so we can't have her back. But like, I feel like it's such a missed opportunity to go back to a place that we've already been, and the only reference to the fact that we were already there was that they go to the hideout once. Or that's what they use, right? They're like, "Oh, this is Dom's hideout.
Yes.
That's so cool." I was trying to think like, there's not a ton of characters that we like would know. I don't know why you go back to a place and then introduce nothing that we already know.
Besides the favelas, but that's like
It's just part of Rio, yeah.
it's part. Yeah, it feels more Rio than Fast and the Furious, right? Like, and we also don't get a Dom in this season. We just
We
get
don't
the
get any
reference,
character we know. Yeah, it's all the new characters from the show. Like there's no we
which
were
is
talking
good
about
and
like
bad.
yeah, like so I think there's two ways that a show like this could go in its second season. Either
Yes.
number one, double down on the newness, or you could like return to like what existed before. Bring in Letty, bring in Tej, bring in whoever, right? They choose the former and they just decide to go 100% new stuff, which is cool, but like I still don't understand why, if you're not going to bring in new characters, why you don't go to a new location.
Yeah. It's definitely interesting. When we were talking to Andy, we're like, why did you go to these places? And he's like, well, we wanted these things, and also we wanted to go somewhere that wasn't where we've been, right?
Yep.
And so it was an interesting choice that yeah, you're right, that they went back to Rio.
Like it almost feels, and again, this might be what we were talking about in the intro to the last episode, but about the delay on animation or whatever. Like maybe they didn't know if they were going to get renewed, or who knows what. Maybe they didn't. They had a plan, like a 2-season plan in mind. But it feels like this is something that we talked about on the Tokyo Drift episode with Nico and Kevo, because it feels like they kind of show different sides of Brazil and Brazilian culture in a way that
Yeah.
Fast Five did not. And I was thinking about, because they come down here and they're showing the Amazon, and they're showing like the rainforest, and they're showing all this like lush landscape en route to Rio, which I don't think we saw in Fast Five.
No.
And then we get to Rio, and there's like capoeira, and there's like this street
Mm-hmm.
art, and there's the food, and there's the cuisine, there's the culture, and it feels like we're actually more so in Rio than we were in Fast Five. Like, and I was
You're
thinking
right.
more about that and about how like we go all over the world, but it's less about the place, and it's more just like, hey, the family's in Rio. Hey, the family's in New York. Hey, the family's in
You're
London. Like, we
100%
don't get
right.
a sense of that. And I wonder if the show was like, there was a missed opportunity to highlight this culture and we want to do it, but it just feels like there's an opportunity to go more and they don't. I don't know.
In the show or in the movies?
Well, I'm saying, like, I think the show could have done more to remix in a way the fact that the movie was already there, but I think that the show, in terms of the culture, does a really good job, a much better job than the movies do,
Yep.
in terms of showing what's there. I just feel like it's good in certain elements and bad in other ways.
Yeah, it kind of like shined a light on that. You're 100% right that we talk about like where has the family been, but for the most part, like if they're in London, they're in a hideout. If they're in
Yep.
Rio, they're in a favelas in the hideout. And like, yeah, you don't get the cultural elements of it, except maybe Tokyo Drift. I think they show a little bit more of Japan.
But then going back to the conversation with Nico and Kevo, they said, like,
Mm-hmm.
that's not the real culture or whatever, right?
Yep, 100% agreed. Yeah.
And I wonder if they got that feedback. Like, I wonder if they had heard from other people, like what Nico and Kevo said, like this wasn't good. Like, this isn't what it should have been or whatever, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh, like let's just not even try then. If people aren't going to be happy with it, let's not even try.
Fair. Yeah.
But overall, did you like this season? Did you not like the season? How did you compare it to season one?
I don't know. It was kind of a mixed bag for me. There was things that I definitely really enjoyed, and things that I was like, why are they doing this? Like, we just talked about like them going to Rio and stuff, and there was like nice touches of them paying homage to the franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But I got kind of like lost in the. I get that it's a kid show, right? So like the plot has to kind of revolve around that. But it's like, okay, mind control to take over the world, but how and why? You have this suspension of belief. You have to be like, this is for kids, and like obviously, like even in the family, they're always like, trying to stop the takeover of the world. So it's not like that far fetched, but there was just some missing pieces for me that I was like, could you link this up a little bit better for me? But overall, I enjoyed it. I feel like the lack of the elements that Nico and Kevo brought up that they found so enjoyable in the first season made it interesting here too, because I was like, oh man, like I thought Yuka was gonna play even a bigger role than it does.
Well, it
And
does. It's just like it's underplayed in a way, right? Like
yeah,
the Yoka, the energy drink
Yoka.
plus
Sorry, I say
30% monkey
Yuka.
pee is the antidote, right? And so
Yes.
to the mind control, and so Frosty figures that out. But like, it does feel like what was a shining or like a hallmark element. A
Hmm.
key item to the first season is just like, oh yeah, it's important here, but we're not going to really actually focus on it. We're not actually going to talk about it too much.
I was ready the whole time for like another good like Yoka fun time dance flash, like Japanese kind of influenced
Yep.
mini part, and it didn't come. So I was like, oh man, like I don't know how I feel about that.
I did like, and I don't know if I said this before, because I meant to say it before when we were talking about when you were mentioning that missing that element of it. But I liked the flashback, like when we're learning Rafaela's art, like or when we're learning Rafaela's backstory. It's a different kind of art style, and I don't know how to describe it, but I think it's a very cool, very unique and different and visually striking art style to
Hmm.
show off we're in the past now.
Yes.
We get that like
So maybe that's the kind of
twice.
stand-in. Maybe that's
Yeah.
the stand-in for it.
Because I think with animation, I think this is something we talked about with Nico and Kevo, is that like with animation, there's a real opportunity to like go crazy and do things you otherwise couldn't do live action, and they do that with like stunts and stuff. They speeding torpedo jump onto a moving airplane in water, which is crazy.
Yes.
And there's
And
also in the
fun.
first episode, I think, where they like harpoon gun a car onto a helicopter. And it's stuff that like isn't crazy out of line or unexpected in the world, but like much easier to accomplish in
Yes.
animation than it would ever be in real life. And I think that's cool, and I also think the different way to tell the story with the art styles is cool, but I feel like it's almost too grounded in reality a lot of the time.
There was some cool things that I saw this season that I did like, and something that we really don't get in the Fast and the Furious that I want them to bring in, and it's probably personal bias
Okay.
involved. We were kind of porting the characters, and we always talk about like what roles the family have, and because we get that famous scene in 5 where we like need a chameleon and all these things. In this one, it was really cool because Frosty is their hacker, but we see that Frosty's also their scientist, and we
Yep.
don't have a scientist in the Fast and the Furious. And I was like, that is really cool, and I have vested interest in this.
Mm-hmm.
But I would really love for them to include a scientist as part of the team, and I think that would because Cypher is a hacker.
Everybody's a hacker now, yeah.
Everybody's a hacker. Everybody's a driver. Everybody's brawn, but like you don't have a real intelligence component. There's not somebody that's there that is like just the smart one.
Everybody's the tough guy. Everybody's the funny guy, kind of. Everybody's the car guy. Everybody's the action guy and the muscle guy. Yeah, I guess it would be Hobbs, but Hobbs also just seems kind of well-rounded, right? Like he doesn't seem like
Yeah,
he's not
he's
the
the
smart
all
guy.
around.
He's
He's
just
the
like
all around.
he's Captain America. Yeah.
Yeah, he's the Swiss Army knife one. That's like he can fight, but he can also drive. And we've been talking about how everybody's becoming the hacker. So why
Yep.
couldn't you have Ramsey be like the smartest one, as opposed to being like another hacker with Tej? And like, why can't she be like a scientist?
Yeah.
So this is something that I really liked about the show, and I was like, oh, this is cool. And why did the fucking franchise never do this? Like, I don't get it. Like, what? It's not like it's a hard or like weird logical jump, but when I saw it play out in front of me, I was like, yeah, what the fuck is this in like the main franchise? I'd never seen this before.
One thing, it's a very little thing, but one thing we had never seen before, which I was very happy that we finally got there, because we were talking last lap in particular. We're like, did we ever get here in the Fast and Furious? And we were like, we think so, but we can't remember when. And I think we ultimately decided the answer is probably no. Do you remember early on, it's in the first episode, a location? They finally go to a place in this show. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. What are you talking about?
The Los Angeles River. They are driving through the
The
riverbank.
aqueducts.
Yes.
Yeah, I noticed it. And it was the thing that we said that we're like, we feel like every Fast and the Furious drives through the aqueducts at some point, and it's not. It's like Gone in 60 Seconds, and
It's every other car movie, yeah.
every other car movie goes through the LA aqueducts. Yep, you're right. I didn't even connect it, but yep.
And they finally do it here, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. Finally, finally, finally.
It's a great set piece. It's awesome and like super iconic, so it's cool that they went there. Yep, that's awesome.
Like, the show does things, like we talk about mind control, which is new. There's also invisibility cloak. Like, there's more science here. And I think that's just because, again, goes to your point, like, why don't we have a science guy? But, like, I feel like they're opening the world into new possibilities through science, right?
But even in Hobbs and Shaw, like we have a deadly virus, and you know what? Maybe that's the scientist. I wasn't really.
Well,
thinking about
there is
that.
the scientist in that, right? Like the not the maybe the Russian guy or whatever, like that one guy
Yeah.
that they like. But it feels like that guy's not coming back. He might even be dead.
And like you can't make one of Hobbs's brothers the scientist. Like even though he was like the machinist, right? Like he built the machine, not did the science. I'm sorry, I'm so hung up on the scientist thing. I'm trying to like place it and like see if they did it or how they could do it. So they've talked about a virus before. This is mind control with a chemical compound. So it's kind of close. I was very disappointed when I started the show. I was playing episode 1. The Netflix, title came up, right? We joined Tony and his crew to take on Pizza Rave. And I was like, first of all, that's an excellent villain name for a kid show. Like, Pizza Rave is just incredible. Huge fan. We don't actually encounter Pizza Rave.
Nope.
Like, it's just that first episode. As I was watching, I was like hung up on that description. Am I missing something? Like, is Rafaela gonna be Pizza Rave at some point? But no, we just needed a vehicle to get us to Rio.
There's also things like in the first season, I think, or remember, I don't want to say the first season, like the first episode of the first season, and then he's back here in the first episode of the second season. But there's that guy Mitch who's like the bully who's just mean to
Yes.
Tony. He shows up here and again, and then just disappears. Like,
And he has a key car. Where did this key car... Like, and I was like, does Mitch have a key car? But I'm like, okay, this is animation. It could be any type of whatever.
You're talking
fun
about key
time.
car from the first season.
Yes, they specifically say, like, Mitch has a key car, or, like, somebody steals Mitch's key car. And I'm like, didn't they all kind of, like, fall into the desert? Like, wasn't that the whole point of you needed them to unlock the mask? So Mitch just got to keep his car
I
afterwards?
guess so. I mean, Mitch is Mitch. Mitch gonna Mitch, right?
Yeah, Mitch gonna Mitch, man. And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, this is just, they don't really care to explain. I mean, you can't ask for much here. I was just confused a little bit. But yeah, Mitch is back, and he has a key car now. Eating tacos still, but he's
Yeah.
back.
I mean, that was another thing that, like, they have the acai bowls, which there's another joke that, like, reminded me about that's not a plane, that's a planet joke. So they're in Rio, they're eating street food or whatever, right? But they find this guy who's selling acai bowls. The monkeys, so Cisco adopts a monkey, that he mind
Yes.
controls a monkey into being his friend, but then the mind control wears off and the monkey just sticks around. So there's a monkey the entire season, which is pretty cool, whatever.
Yeah, I like that
But the
too.
monkey, when they get there, the monkey is eating, like, this entire, like, street vendors, like, all of his supply of everything, right? The guy is like, I'm so sorry, I owe you so much money, like, what can I do, The guy says, why don't you just buy an acai bowl, we'll call it even. He's like, okay, cool. So he buys an acai bowl, and he's like, what did you call this? An acai bowl? But, like, he mispronounces it in a way that you're looking at the word, but he didn't know what the word looked like. He just heard the word said. Does that
Yeah.
make sense? He's like,
Yeah.
I forget. He's like, what did you call it? Like an acai bowl? Like he's visualizing the word. But if you've never seen that, if you don't know what an acai bowl is,
Yes.
you're not going to know how it's spelled, so you're not going to know to mispronounce it. You might say it wrong, but he says it wrong in a way like he's reading it. And I was like, this
Yes.
is a very weird, particular nitpick, but I was just like, this is weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it is because we get Sean doing this with like Sean's goofy accent, and he's in Japan in Tokyo Drift, and he's like, "What'd you say?" But like he just has a goofy accent and is mispronouncing it again, right? Like he like can't make the vocalization sounds. But
Yep.
yeah, you're right.
Uwabaki.
Exactly.
What direct references to the Fastiverse did you catch? There's obviously the safe house that they go to,
Yes.
which is cool.
The first episode, we drop out of a plane. GPS.
Cars don't fly. Yep.
Cars don't fly.
There's a lot of Tokyo drifting.
Yeah, I was thinking that it's very reminiscent of the mountain slalom
Yep.
scenes in Tokyo Drift a lot in this. Like through the favelas, they do a lot of like street drifting up and down the hills of the favelas. Do we have a train in this one at some point, or is that just the?
There is a train in the first episode that they jump in front of when like they open it in an action sequence and they're like, oh, he got away, but like it was part of the plan for him to get away. But the guy jumps in front of a moving train to escape. So there is a train jump in this as well. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
And there's also, in terms of like large vehicles, there is like their mobile HQ, which I think they call the Hauler,
The hauler, yes.
which reminds me of the like HQ truck in Seven that they're driving around.
100%.
Right?
Yep, that's what I was thinking. Kind of like the bus that Ramsey gets kidnapped on too.
That's the same thing. Same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have any other ones? I'm like looking through my notes and I'm getting jumbled in other places.
So there's like shock gloves, which I think are like this. That's the Mission Impossible climbing the building gloves. That's
Okay.
what he uses to like what Tony wears when he's going around. That's pretty cool. It's not a fast connection, but it's an action movie connection. Also, new tech of a kind. I might have missed this, but they talk about all these different gums that do all these different things. Does the gum come back into play?
Nope.
They spend like 2 minutes, like literally 2 minutes, maybe 90 seconds, like maybe a little bit under 2 minutes. They spend a lot of time being like, this gum does this, this gum does this, this gum does this gum never loses its flavor. Cisco's like, they've always had that. They just, Big Gum didn't want you to know about it or whatever,
Yes.
which is a funny joke. But
It
they
is.
spend so much time talking about what these gums do, and they're like setting everything up. Like it's kind of like at the beginning of a Bond movie where they're like, here's all the gadgets you're going to see this movie. You don't know when, but you're going to get them all. They spend so much goddamn time talking about this gum that never comes back into play. And I'm like, what? Like after the fact, I was like, wait, why? Where'd the gum go?
Yeah, yeah. As much as this moves really fast paced, there was one that was like so jarring to me. Oh, that's another fast connection. You have to kidnap a truck when Layla's, running the mind control potion.
Yep.
And they break in and do the like truck heist from
Yes.
her.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, this is like dead on, like she's driving a truck and everything. So when they do this, they come down, they kick her out of the truck, the thing wears off, the truck drives into the ocean, explodes. The next episode is the same last 3 minutes of the last episode, but just from a different camera angle.
Yeah. Yeah, which, not even camera angle, because it's drawn. It's just like a different look at the same scene. I watched this thing in 3 sittings, and
Okay.
that was the first part, how do I say, like, that was the first episode in the second sitting. And so I was like, wait, am I in the right episode? Because, like, it's not just a quick, like, oh, let's catch you up or whatever. It's a couple minutes.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
3 minutes of the exact same scene. I was like, because we were talking with Nico and Kevo, this is what I was thinking about it. Like, we talked about how we don't want more episodes because then they would cause like stretching, right?
Yep.
And you'd be like grasping for things. And I was like, this is very fucking bizarre that they just wasted 3 minutes like, did you not have 3 minutes to put in? And then you have like the 2 minutes of the gum. So you're like, where are you guys going with this? I don't know. I'm glad that you found it as weird as I did.
Like, I don't mind as much, even though it's a trope that I hate in movies, I don't mind as much when they have, like, Echo fighting Ms. Nowhere to start an episode, because you're like, where's this going to happen? Even though, like, it shows up 15 minutes later, because these are only 22-minute episodes. I don't mind that as much, because, like, at least it makes sense kind of narratively.
There was definitely some weird things in this one, for sure. One thing that we did like Because Rachel was watching, the tail end of it with me this morning. Gary has a more expanded role this season, right?
Which I love. Gary's my favorite. Yep.
And he is just like so positive and supportive the whole time. That's another thing we don't get in the main franchise. We don't have just like the sunshine character. Not even like, hey, we can overcome this. Gary's just like, you did a good job, bud. Like,
Yeah.
keep it up. Like, wow, I can't believe you figured that out. You're really smart. And I was like, damn, like I want Gary in my house to just be like, good job, like you cleaned that good. And you're like,
Creating
thanks,
your
man.
own telenovelas with him, just like while watching security camera, just voicing things like as they're carrying the couch back in.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, I wanted somebody that's like that much fun and supportive.
Yeah. There was a My Cousin Vinny reference, sort of, not really reference, but they get stuck in the quicksand. They were like, we're stuck in the mud. And I was like, anybody stuck in the mud in Alabama knows you spin on, you pressing the gas, one tire spins, the other tire does nothing. I'm like, yeah, okay.
And I'm glad you brought that up. That's excellent. And I didn't get the my cousin Vinny reference. How do we not see more quicksand in Fast and the Furious? I think
In
quicksand is
general,
severely, yeah, it's just severely underutilized.
it's kind of thing where like if you use it once, like can you really use it again? I don't know.
Did I tell you this like side tangent story about when I watched like I think it was like a Vice special or something on quicksand? Did I tell you about this?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Obviously, Rule 34, if you can imagine it, there's porn of it.
Oh, I think so now. Yes.
And like all these people have this like quicksand fetish.
Yep. I
Okay.
think you talked about it on here before.
Because like when I saw quicksand, like now every time I think of quicksand, I think of like quicksand porn, and there's just like there's a whole world that I'm unaware of, and like maybe this is for the quicksand fetish. Like, is Spy Racers quicksand the hentai of quicksand porn?
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just the thought process I was having when I was watching this part of it. I was just like, what the okay.
At one point, when they're in the safe house, they're trying to figure out what vehicle people should use or whatever. And Tony's like, I can ride a bike. I'm a Toretto. We have I think he said something like, we have a history with bikes. And it's like, no, you don't.
He says I could drive everything.
But Dom has never, I don't think even come close. Like, I cannot even picture Dominic Toretto on a motorcycle.
It'd have to be like a really big Harley, right? It wouldn't be
Yes.
like American Muscle. It couldn't be like, Johnny Tran on a
Like a
crocodile.
Kawasaki or something, yeah.
Yeah. And we see Hattie on her motorcycle. She has
Yep.
one.
Yep.
And Brixton has
Giselle.
one.
So they're in a safe house, right? In Brazil, in Rio, where Giselle has shown up with a motorcycle and like they don't even reference her. There's a bike in Dom's safe house, and we know that Giselle and Han drove motorcycles. And
Yes.
we're not going to mention either of their names. That's okay, sure.
Yeah, but I think that's a creative choice like we were talking about earlier. That's like they're like, look, like we're gonna stick to Spy Racers now. We did the like Dom appearance once, but it does feel like a missed opportunity. Like, oh, isn't this Han's bike? And you'd be like, yeah, it's Han's bike, and like that's it.
Yeah.
That's all you needed to do, right?
I guess it's like how would they know Han, but also they could just know Han. Like it doesn't have to be like a I don't know.
If Dom's your cousin and he's constantly having family barbecues where Han and Giselle were at his house,
Yep,
it's not far fetched to imagine that they would have like met them in passing, right?
true.
One thing I really liked, they talk about the discovery of their family, right?
Mm-hmm.
The establishment of like who knows who, and it's kind of reminiscent of when Brian is asking Mia like how did the gang get together? I'm not hey fellow non-cops, how did
Yeah.
this gang get together? Tony had written a poem in school for an assignment, and his poem was about his love of engines.
Yep.
And that's how they all fell in love together. And it was like
And
this.
he rhymed carburetor with smell you later or see you later or something.
Yeah, exactly. And I was like, oh, that's really cute. And this was like one of the highlights of the show for me. The establishment of the family, how it came to be, and it's also this goofy kids in school fun time thing. So I was like, oh, that was well thought out. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Another avenue that I guess they decided to try to go down in this thing is they bring in like a Brazilian sorcery flower, which I guess leads to
Yeah.
the mind control, but it's just like, oh, like we were talking about how I think Nico made a joke about how like, oh, like Letty can just come back and be like, oh yeah, I can control I can read people's minds now or whatever, right? But like they almost just like, oh yeah, we have black magic now. Like what are you gonna do about it? It's like, wait, what? Like since when? What?
They kind of lean into the sciencey side of it a little bit. So that's good. It makes the jump. It's not as far fetched to me. We have Frosty, who spends some time learning capoeira, and it doesn't really ever. I like this was like kind of the gum situation where I think Frosty's gonna come back and like have to capoeira someone like ponytail at the end of an episode somewhere, and nope.
No, I think it's just there to like be a joke. Like he's like, "Oh, I'm so good at capoeira," and then like he actually sees the actual like fighting side of it. He's just like, "Oh, I'm not actually good at. I thought I was, but it's a different thing, right?" So
Yeah, but I was hoping we'd get more crossover, like Frosty would become more. We see the family always expand, and we talk about how everybody can hack, everybody can drive, everybody can do everything.
yep.
And I was thinking that that's what we were leading to, but they still kind of kept them compartmentalized. Like I was thinking, like Frosty was going to be like, "Oh, cool! Like I can fight now."
Well, it does feel like Frosty is the only one who's like doing anything this season. Like I don't know, like Tony doesn't do anything. Tony takes a real firm back seat. Actually, no, I will take that back. Tony does very little. Echo and Frosty do everything. Cisco just has a monkey,
Yes, that's his That's his role this season.
and
Yes.
Layla kind of has a decent amount to do, but she was there first. But like, it's amazing to me in retrospect, how little Tony, the star of the show, does.
They say like, "We don't need you right now, Tony, because we don't need somebody to drive real fast into a stupid situation." I was like, "Damn, that's a really good way to put it." But yeah, you're right. They just like they totally like shelf him. They don't even try to hide it. It's not like his character like had to go away or like he was on a side mission or something. He's just like, nope, he's there, but they just shelf him. Yeah, it's very
It's
interesting.
weird. It's weird, man.
There's
Not a bad thing. It's just a strange decision.
There's a lot of weird decisions in this one. It's great. Like it's not bad. It's still enjoyable. It's just like why? I want to sit down. Like I want to go through the brain trust of like when this was being developed, right? And
Yep.
just be like, what were the backbones of the like what made you make these decisions? Were there decisions, and why did you choose these ones?
I think what's interesting about the grander, the wider scale, the way to think about it in a more broad way is that we were saying at the end of the first season, it feels like this could just be it. Like there might not have to be a second season, but at the end of this season, they literally say, "We did Rio. What's next?" It's like, okay, like we're gonna go on. Where the first season was like, this could just be a self-contained thing. Now we're like, okay, this is the same crew, the same family, whatever. Now they're gonna go on mission to mission around the world or whatever, right? So
One of my favorite parts, like, thematic big parts of this season, they're tasks and the growth that we get from Echo, right? Like they're setting her up to become Little Nowhere.
yep.
And that she can eventually become the brain trust in this crew, like that she's going to be the one that's like in charge kind of.
This season is all about her as like breakout character, kind of.
Yes, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. This was an interesting choice that I enjoyed and didn't have too much question about, and I was like, that's something that I didn't expect, and I found this great. The other parts of it, I'm like, what? Why did you make these choices?
I wrote down a note at the end of the fourth episode where I was like, how do they not realize? Like, we're halfway through the season. I'm like, how do they not know this is mind control yet? Because, like, from afar, it seems so obvious. And maybe, like, if you're in the minds of the characters or whatever up close, like, it's not as obvious. But it's like, oh, no, this is pretty firmly mind control. Like, it seems pretty obvious this is mind control. And then, like, a minute later, they're like, I think, oh, Layla comes too, and she's like, guys, they have mind control. It's like, yeah, of course. Like, is this a reveal to anyone?
Yeah, I don't know.
Going to the conversation we had last episode with Nico and Kevo, maybe I don't know who the target audience is or whatever, right? But like, feels like maybe kids don't know what's going on. They have to like spell it out, but it just seems so obvious. Like, oh yeah, no, like there's, and maybe I don't know, because again, they once again doubled down on the like, can you believe that Ms. Nowhere is evil? Now it's like, well, she's not. It's mind control. Like. So I guess either the show is playing to children or someone, I don't know, but it's like, I don't know.
They're getting to the end. Rafaela is trying to steal the spy plane because that's what she's going to use to take mind control all over the planet. The acai bowl guy, I think that's him, right? With the kid, isn't that the acai
yes,
bowl?
because the kid rats them out. Like, you take a picture because there's like this tattoo that has like the formula for the mind control, and the kid rats them out, and then they save the grandpa, and so then like they're on the side. Yeah, I think so.
And they're like, okay, we need to like get into the water to stop her from stealing the spy plane.
Yep.
And he's like, here's the detonator to like, and they're under mind control. So he's like, I'm gonna blow up the dock so you guys can't get to her. And the detonator looks like a jewel. Like it literally. I was like, did you guys actively choose to make this look like? Do you know what I'm talking about?
There's a lot of things that like just like look like brooches and stuff.
No, not a jewel. Like
Oh, like a
these.
Oh, yes, yes. I know exactly what you're talking about. No, because
It
like
looks.
I thought it looked like a stick of gum too.
Yeah, yeah,
Because I thought it was like, oh,
exactly.
the gum's. I'm like, wait, that can't be the gum coming back.
Yeah, like why is the gum the detonator? No, but to me it looked like a jewel, and I was like, we grew up in a world where Joe Camel existed, and then
Yep.
like the total ban on smoking and everything, right? Like that this just like didn't exist anymore. Why would you make the detonator look just like a jewel pod, like a jewel?
Like an
And a
e-cig.
kid,
Yeah, I have no idea.
it was very very weird. I was like, I can't get over it. Like my brain's like, they're just like tossing this jewel back and forth, and I'm like, is that supposed to be cool? Do they know what they're doing? Did it just happen to look like one to me?
It is weird. I don't have that association because just like I thought it was like I did notice that it looked weird, and I thought it was the gum coming back. Like I was just like, there's something weird about the design of whatever this is supposed to be.
And there's also like this giant, now teen crisis where they were like all vaping jewels, right? So
Yep.
like, and if that's the target demographic, like, wouldn't you want to not? It kind of creeped me out because I was like, there's all these like schools now that are like, we can't let these in our classrooms and things, and it's a very interesting choice for sure. A thing that I did like. And I was hoping that this becomes more prevalent, and I didn't really catch it last season, is I hope that the Yoka chain becomes like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Chain, and
Ooh.
is like the Dom's chain kind of thing, because we see it be like a laser last season, right? When Frosty uses it to like cut handcuffs,
Yep.
right? We see Rafaela steal it this season, and I thought that it was
It's
gonna.
got the tracking chip in it, right?
Yeah, and I thought that
Mm-hmm.
it was gonna be something cool besides a tracking chip, like Frosty was gonna like turn it on and shock her with it. But no, but we do see the movement of the chain, and that's the focus that I was like, oh, this is interesting. We might have to use the chain for something else, and it passes along, and who has it at what times. And Tony
Yeah.
brings it back too, which is important.
Yes.
Hopefully, that's what this is becoming.
And I'm gonna hold because I don't know how to say what I want to say, and I want to talk to Nico and Kevo about this. But I think with regards to Rafaela, I think there is a very interesting design choice. Like she is, in common parlance, a thick lady now. Like she is
She's
very
thick.
drawn to be curvy and feminine and
She looks like
owning.
Cardi B, right?
Like I want to know about their take because like they were talking Nico specifically talking a lot about the characters in the first season and like genital bulges and like globe asses and everything and like she is
Yes, yes.
sexualized in a way that the rest of the show is not. And I wonder if that's just body positivity or if there's a deeper thing there. And I'm
I want to
curious
hear
to
their thoughts
see
on it
what
too.
they
Yep.
think. Yeah, they pointed out she's like too form fitting or just the right amount of form fitting. It's like oh like because everybody else kind of looks like just like thin like cartoon person, right? Like all the
Yes,
extras
yeah.
and like all the new Brazilian people, and then she is like literally hourglassy. It's just like oh like it's a design choice and they're accentuating. They're all in like one piece body suits, and I'm like okay, so we'll find out. We'll find out.
Hopefully, yeah.
There was another fast action when they mind controlled Tony to prove that it is mind control. He picks up a wrench and is about to smash, but he doesn't smash because they have him like, no, don't do that. But there was a time in 5, I think, right, where Dom's about to smash Hobbs and then just smashes the cement next to him. But again, another Toretto with a wrench. I think there was a wrench in the first season too.
Yeah, that is cool.
Oh, and also Rafaela takes credit for the catchphrase "ride or die." She's like, my catchphrases are so good. It's like, girl, I know it's a joke in the show, but like, let's back off a little bit.
Yeah. Something that we don't get in the Fast and the Furious that I think that and now I've seen it twice, right? We've seen it in the game and we've seen it here. I feel like every car in Spy Racers has a rocket engine because they all need it to like jump or boost and
Yep.
like we saw it in the first season that he needed to like save his rockets, and this season we see the hauler has it and their cars have everybody has rocket engines. And then we see in the game that we had to like take down the rocket engine and stop the rocket. And I'm wondering, because Tej has a big mouth, because Ludacris has a big mouth, and they're going to space, if we're seeing all this rocket interest because there will be a rocket in 9. When they were running these ideas by the creative teams, because as we know from Andy, like he was like, oh yes, we did know parts of the story and things. Is this why we keep seeing rockets? Because we're seeing rockets everywhere, but not in front of us. We can't see the space the space shuttle for the rockets right now, right? Like
Yep.
it's all around us, but not ahead. I'm curious if that's like a hint somehow.
I think it's interesting, and I wonder if it's just trying to be its own thing. But with regards to the thrusters, like it's not Nas. It's a different. Like it's the same effect, but
Yeah.
it's different. And it feels like they have firmly like for a show that literally exists in the universe where Nas is like the be all end all of speed. For them to be like, we got to use the thrusters. It's like, oh, like you could just say Nas. Like we would get it.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Echo jumps into a waterfall to escape from, I think, cops, a la Dom and Brian. Or maybe
Ah,
not
yeah,
cops,
yeah,
but
yeah.
maybe this Ms. Nowhere and Raphaela's crew.
Yeah, true. We've seen planes in Fast and the Furious. We've seen cars jumping out of planes in Fast and the Furious. We've seen cars jumping out of planes in Spy Racers. One thing that we haven't seen yet, and we've seen it twice in Spy Racers now, is jumping onto a moving plane.
Okay, yeah, mm-hmm.
Because in 6, we get, like, it's on the runway and you kind of drive up into it. In last season, just because we rewatched it, Mrs. Nowhere jumps chipmunk suits onto a plane. In the end, the final showdown in this one, we get them jumping onto the plane with the, torpedo boat. So I'm like, I wonder if we could get a real live action jump onto a plane.
Possible. I would like to see it. I'd like to see them try.
Because we don't, like, get that very often, so that would
And
be
on the
interesting.
topic of large scale vehicles, there is, I think it's in the 7th episode, there's a tank, but like these guys like blow through the tank. So I'm like, oh, they're like one up on our family who like the tank scared the shit out of Roman and everybody in 6, right? But
Yeah,
like here in the tank, they just literally ram through the tank. So pretty cool.
just straight through. Just
Yep.
blasted it. The hauler seems pretty badass. I wonder if they're going to get a real hauler in the actual franchise.
I was also confused, not confused, but like in Justified, in the show Justified, there's a place called the Holler, which is like this moonshine lair, essentially, like in season two.
But is
Like
it
the
Holler, not Hauler?
oh, are they calling it the Holler Hauler?
Yes. Like, it
Okay,
hauls the things. That's what I'm assuming, at least.
I guess I was thinking it was like a nickname. That makes way more sense.
Did it just click in your brain for you?
I didn't even think about, yeah, I didn't think about it until you just said it. But yeah, maybe a little dumb on my part. But yeah, okay, that makes sense. Because like
No,
because I
it's
heard
okay.
holler because they're not saying like the way that I'm hearing it, it's not hauler. They're saying a holler, which again just could be how they pronounce it or whatever. But like
Hmm.
I was thinking, like I made the association in my mind with Justified, and then like that's the only thing I could think of.
It happens. I do it all the time.
At the end of the 7th episode, there were 8 episodes. At the end of the 7th episode, Rafaela succeeds. Like she mind controls the entire city of Rio. Uses the word snuff, which everybody knows apparently to it means to kill. Like I know snuff films or whatever, but
Snuff.
like
Yeah.
it's a very strangely kind of loaded word that she uses to like have everybody murder our family, right?
I kept saying this to Rachel as I'm watching it. I'm like, does she keep saying snuff them? Because she's being a cartoon and a kid's show. She can't be like, go kill them. She just uses snuff.
But it feels almost like more sinister in a way. Like it's weird.
Yeah, like completely put them out. Like, you think of like snuffing a candle, like
Yeah.
just squish them.
So then the 8th episode begins, and it's kind of like zombie-esque, where they're all surrounding the hauler. But then at the end, the way that they combat it while they're waiting on the antidote is that they use like a music video from Rafaela to like have her and tell everybody just to dance or something. Like this is okay.
This, I had the exact same thoughts. It was very zombie-esque of them being in the hauler and the people rocking it, right? Like this is like Walking Dead or any zombie movie. We see this all the time, right?
Yep.
I really enjoyed the use of her music video telling them to dance as the solution because it felt so genuine for children. Like it wasn't this grandiose idea that saves them in the end, right? It's that you just tell everybody to dance and be happy, and everybody starts dancing and be happy, and then you win. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, that's cool. It's like so wholesome and gentle that I was like, I really enjoyed that part of it.
The standby while they wait for it is just like, hey, everybody just have a good time. Like we're in Rio, just have a good time.
Dance, listen to some music. There's a lot of dubstep in this season, apparently. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Is there anything else of note? Any other notes? Knowing that we're going to talk about this again with Nico and Kevo in just a couple days, but anything else that you want to talk about now before we come back and talk about it then?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all. I covered everything that I was noting and taking note of when we were watching it. So
Overall, did you like this more or less than the first season?
it's tough. I don't
It's
know.
different, right?
It's much different. I like this in the idea that I like the direction that it could be leading to.
In
You get what I'm
in
saying?
what way? Like I know what you mean, but like in what way in particular?
That they made the creative choice that they're gonna establish these characters. These are
Yep.
gonna be the characters. I like the growth of Echo. I like that Frosty was a scientist. I like this progression. So I think this could be a nice leading point. That now they're like firmly a team of spies. They exist as a team of spies now. Like we've established these things. They have a better place to begin at in 3 because I think that like we were talking about like 1 kind of ended like this could have been standalone thing, but now like we have the backbone, the foundation of where this can go, and that's really interesting to me.
I think it would have been maybe cooler, quote unquote cooler, if they loaded season 2 up with cameos. But I think the kind of short term frustrations, maybe like, oh, we could have had Letty, we could have had Tej, we could have had whatever, we could have had this, we could have had that. I think the fact that they didn't do all that is smart because it sets up for like long term, more developed character success, sort of.
Exactly. 100% with you. And we've talked about this with Wes before. Any new content is good content, right? So that's the best takeaway I have from this is that they're setting it up to have long term success, to give us more of it. And that's the most reassuring part of watching this season.
Yeah. Any other closing thoughts? Are you good?
Yeah, if you like the first season, check out this season. Any new content is good content. So it gives us something to talk about and something to think about. And I'm really hoping that as you get like Nico's 5-year projection theory is what's happening here.
Yeah,
That
for sure.
we could eventually bring these guys into the live action and, start to do those kind of things. Like, how cool would it be if we're like watching 10 and like Echo shows up?
Or yeah, like or in the Letty Let if that ever happens, right? And then they're just like, oh, we need a little bit of help, and that's when Echo comes in because Echo feels like she is. I don't know, and again, I think it just might be because season 2 just feel like he doesn't have anything to do, but it doesn't feel like Tony is necessarily becoming the lead of the show. Like it feels like they're in a way grooming Echo to be the future face of the franchise in a way,
I think so too.
which is
Like
cool.
Echo and Frosty. Like, because Tony was just like, you're in. But I think them diminishing his role in this one makes it more interesting in the long term too. It would be really cool to see some version of this universe where like Cam and Frosty and Echo all like have to like cross paths and it all converges.
I agree. So next week, we are doubling down on this episode, this content, this show, this season. Nico and Kevo coming back to talk about Fast and Furious Spy Racers Rio. Then on Friday, Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning, which is on the docket right now. Joe, have you ever seen this movie or the original Universal Soldier?
Nope, neither.
So I watched the original Universal Soldier. When did I watch it? Over the summer, I guess. I think it was on our action movie bracket. Universal Soldier has Jean-Claude Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren. That's right. And I think
Okay.
they're both in like a battalion in Vietnam, I think. Things break badly and
Obviously.
and then they are both reprogrammed, I want to say, to be kind of perfect killing machines, I think. So that came out in like the 80s, 92, early 90s. So then like 20 years later, there are a couple sequels, but 20 years later, there's this movie, Universal Soldier Day of Reckoning, which is, all accounts, all intents and purposes, I have not seen it yet, but like one of the greatest action movies of the last like decade or so. Like just like cool, badass, whatever. So I don't know anything about it, but it comes up on the memory loss Google searches, and the first one has like, memory loss and amnesia and whatever. And so like if you want to do a little extra homework, maybe watch the first one
I
if
think
you
I
want
might,
to see
yeah.
the Jean-Claude Van Damme Dolph Lundgren one. But now that we are officially again still more than halfway through this lap, any other thoughts, or are you good to pack it up and come back next time?
I'm good to pack it up and talk, and I'm curious to hear what Nico and Kevo have to say about this.
Remember how much Nico loved Ms. Nowhere's save the children moment?
Yeah.
I wonder if he's going to like, because she's removed from so much of this to be the bad person, right? For reasons like, mind control or whatever, but I wonder if they're going to like this or not.
I'm very, very curious. That's what I'm thinking too.
Well, that'll be on Tuesday. But for all things Too Fast, Too Forever, you go to cageclub.me, facebook.com/Too Fast, Too Forever, or at Too Fast, Too Forever on Twitter and Instagram. Email us, family@cageclub.me. Check out our Patreon page at toofast2forever.com. Shout out to everyone who supports us over there. We've got 3 or 4 or 5, maybe more patron picks this lap, so we still got a lot to go through. I mean, we have a lot more of this
Nice.
lap to go through. We got a lot more patron picks to go through, so not too late if you want to get a pick this lap. toofast2forever.com. Support us over there. And that's about it. Come back on Tuesday as we talk about this very show, this very season, one more time. I'm Joey Lewandowski,
I'm Joe too.
and we'll tell you all about it
When we see you